If you're a business owner, reach more people with the power of radio. If you don't tell it, you can't sell it. See the power of radio. WHS Shelby, WLO in Lincoln, WCSL Cherryville. Online at ktcbroadcasting.com.
In 2019, our Atlanta Braves are looking to defend their National League East title, and we'll bring you every play from this epic season.
And a drive to right field. That ball is tagged. That ball is gone into the chop house. Ozzie Albies strikes back.
Atlanta Braves baseball back again on the Boston Carolina Country. WHS Shelby, WLO in Lincoln, WCSL Cherryville, Gastonia. Hey, look, it's Gary Dellinger with Dellinger Electric. Gary, what's going on?
Hey, Calvin, just stopped by to see how the new jingle was coming along.
Well, as a matter of fact, we just finished it up. Want to hear it?
Oh, I can't wait.
Here we go.
When it comes to your wiring, you don't want to monkey around. Call Dellinger Electric. They're the best electricians in town.
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't even give her phone number. And monkey around?
704-435-0705. They're the best electricians in town.
I don't have to pay for that. Do I?
Is the cost of ink driving your profits down? Then listen up. Discount Ink Jet and Toner is here to help. Discount Ink Jet and Toner specializes in refilling ink jet and toner cartridges. Cut your ink costs by as much as 50% or more. Discount Ink Jet and Toner, located on 410 East Franklin Boulevard in Gastonia. 100% satisfaction guaranteed.
Who are you? You're not a goat. Oh, you say you feel like a goat since you didn't buy your car from Renato Auto Mall in Shelby. And now you're putting up with a bunch of bull. Don't be like my friend here. You get no bull at Renato Honda and Renato Kia at Renato Auto Mall in Shelby. 4423 East Dixon Boulevard. Don't let another dealer get your goat.
Man, I only do things incredible can, cause I am seed of a chosen breed. You don't see too many like me, cause I am. And the reason you do what you do when you wanna be me instead of you, cause I am still on beat, showing love to the streets. Come on, you know me, cause that's who I am.
And good morning, KTC Broadcasting, Saturday Morning Sports Talk with Kevin and the gang, Nobby, Terry Reinhardt, Kevin Hastings, Tom Stefani, and Hunter's yet to walk in the building, so who knows when that's going to happen. So, and of course, I'm your DJ JP, running sound as usual. So, yeah, y'all are on, but. Y'all are on. I don't.
I'm Lon Helton, inviting you to join me as I count down the week's top 30 with my co-host Jason Aldean, who gives us an update on his baby girl, Navy.
She actually just turned 6 months old last week.
Do you call her Navy, or is there a nickname?
Navy, Nave. Britt calls her Baby Rome a lot of times just so she can get that Rome in there.
That's Jason Aldean this week on Country Countdown USA.
Country Countdown USA, Wednesday afternoons at 1 o'clock on Carolina Country WCSL, 92.3 FM, 1590 AM, and online at ktcbroadcasting.com. For 70 years, Harris Funeral Home in Kings Mountain has been serving this area with compassionate, unique, and professional services. Harris Funeral Home in Kings Mountain is independent and family-owned, providing traditional and cremation options as well as package options for all budgets. Harris Funeral Home in Kings Mountain offers personalization options to honor your loved one's memory, such as custom casket cap panels, memorial DVDs, memory portraits, fingerprint, and cremation jewelry. Harris Funeral Home, 108 South Piedmont Avenue, Kings Mountain, celebrating life one family at a time. Online at harrisfunerals.com. Who are you? You're not a goat. Oh, you say you feel like a goat since you didn't buy your car from Renato Auto Mall in Shelby. And now you're putting up with a bunch of bull. Don't be like my friend here. You get no bull at Renato Honda and Renato Kia at Renato Auto Mall in Shelby. 4423 East Dixon Boulevard. Don't let another dealer get your goat.
Shop, savor, and share the fun at Charlotte's favorite event for women, the Southern Women's Show, August 23rd through 25th at the Convention Center. Discover hundreds of boutiques filled with the latest fashions and trends, jewelry, gourmet treats, health and beauty, and so much more. See Val Schmerkowski from Dancing with the Stars, meet American Idol winner Taylor Hicks, and drop by on Friday after work for Girls' Night Out. Visit SouthernWomenShow.com for details and tickets. Sponsored by Food Lion Chevrolet and Novant Health.
This is Evangelist Kim Earwood with Jesus Until the Whole World Hears Radio Ministry. Join us each Sunday morning from 8 to 8:30 a.m. for worship and the Word of God on 1390 and 1590 a.m., 101.5 FM, and ktcbroadcasting.com, and live on Facebook. Also, be sure and stay tuned from 8:30 to 9 o'clock on 1390 a.m., 101.5 FM, ktcbroadcasting.com, and live on Facebook for half hour of praise and worship with Jesus until the whole world hears.
Now's the time to buy your new Kubota from Parker Farm Service in Kings Mountain. Right now, pay zero money down. Get 0% APR financing for 60 months. Come on in now for all the details. All for good on the Kubota BX Series, the Kubota B Series, the Kubota L Series, and the Kubota MX Series tractors. Again, 0 money down and 0% APR financing for 60 months. Get your new Kubota today at Parker Farm Service, 126 Vesey Drive in Kings Mountain.
And welcome back. We had some technical difficulties, so they're joining me today in the studio. So how are y'all today?
JP, we're doing well. I'm just, we run into technical difficulties every now and then. A lot of people use the equipment, and that's going to happen. That's anywhere you go. I mean, if somebody else grabs hold of it, might have hit one little button wrong or something like that.
It's kind of like when my wife drives my car, and then, everything's messed up. The seat's messed up.
Yeah, and then you try to get into it, and you hit your head, and
all right.
And then you're up on the steering wheel, and
our wives take care of us.
That's the way I am when I drive my parents' car because I'm so short. They're so short, I have to push the seat back.
Well, Kevin's trying to get things straightened out, so want to talk a little American Legion World Series. Danville, Illinois, who ran into a buzzsaw in that Louisiana. I believe it's pronounced Destrehan, Louisiana. Really just hammered them 12-1, but they come back and defeat New Mexico 13-2 yesterday. So that evens them at 1-1 in pool play, and New Mexico drops to 0-2 in pool play. Terry, and the New Mexico team only has 10 players. I've heard some various reasons why. I don't want to say on the air. But when you come all the way across the country and you're playing some of the best American Legion World Series teams in the country and you only have 10 players, that's just a tall order.
Oh, it is, and especially as hot as it is, and the way, the World Series, you need every player that you got, and you need extras, for just a little bit of relief for somebody to run for you every now and then.
Right.
But especially playing with the heat.
But another thing is pitching, Terry.
It is. It's unless you got 7 out of your 10 players that used to be pitchers.
Right. And you will see that in American Legion Baseball. You won't see that at higher levels where a position player comes in to pitch. You'll see it in American Legion Baseball quite often. And when I called that the first New Mexico game, they were, bringing some position players in when they played Festus, Missouri. It was a good game, but unfortunately for New Mexico, they've lost both. And Danville, Illinois, pounds out 13 runs against Albuquerque. So Danville's going to even their record at 1-1. But I think the talk of the tournament right now has got to be Louisiana. I did the Festus. No, wasn't it? Check that. The New Mexico Louisiana game. They hit 4 bombs.
Yeah, and when we was talking before, and you go to World Series, we always talk about not hitting home runs, and they hit 4 in one game.
Well, I think there was only 3 hit the entire American Legion World Series in 2018. But you might say, well, Illinois wasn't very good, but I just think it was a matter of Louisiana just being very good.
Yeah.
And that's a major, minor league size park out there at Shelby. I mean, it's not a 310 down the line, it's 330 down the line. And one kid, I wish I had my scorebook in front of me, but he hit one over. They have the old scoreboard, which they've turned into a mile per hour pitch count board, and he hit one over that. Now, he's left-handed here. He pulled it over there, but I'll tell you what, Terry, that ball is deep into the woods behind there. He hit it a ton.
Is this post 356, if I'm not mistaken?
I cannot know.
Residential service. You get quality work at reasonable prices, and they do it all.
They've been here before.
Well, no, not the point of that. I was watching replays of when they won the state. And I'm going to be honest now. This is a team. A lot of times when you see teams play and win the state tournament, you all see them run out on the field, they piling on top of each other. This was a team that when they won the state, the number 6, and I will give him credit, he took off, run down the court. Yeah, like that, really. Yeah. But the rest of them was like, we're supposed to do this.
Yeah, and the way they disposed of Illinois and the way they disposed of a pretty good Festus, Missouri team. I mean, we had our friends out there in Missouri picked us up, the broadcast, and we appreciate their support because they told us we did a good job. So we appreciate that. But they got a pretty good ball team, you know, and they just got waxed 9-1. So I don't really see what I've seen so far. I listened to Hunter do the Idaho Falls Fargo, where Idaho defeated Fargo. Randolph County, I listened to that. They defeated Massachusetts. There were only 2 games yesterday, so a lot of teams, are going to play today. Got 3 games today, I believe, and then 3 games on Sunday. So things are going to have to work themselves out. But so far, I just think Louisiana's the most dominant team in this tournament.
Well, you kind of, and I agree with you as far as what we've seen so far. But you sit back, and I know now Randolph County, they play later, right?
Randolph County's going to play today. Let me say, I've got the lineup, Terry.
But anyway, they play today sometime. But,
I've got it here in front of me. 1 p.m. today. And remember, all these games are covered on 101.5. I believe we're carrying them on all of our stations. I know 101.5. I'll make sure. I'm pretty sure we've got it on all our stations. But 1 p.m. World Series, Idaho Falls versus Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. That's at 1 o'clock. Randolph County is going to play North Dakota. That's Fargo, North Dakota. That's 4 p.m. And then 7:30 p.m. it's Destrehan. This Destrehan, Louisiana team we've been talking about is going to play Albuquerque, and that one can get ugly.
So this Louisiana team, it could be 3-0 and have tomorrow off waiting.
I believe they've got a very strong possibility of doing that with facing the New Mexico team. I mean, it's not that the New Mexico team is bad. They're just understaffed, and Louisiana just looked very strong. And pitching as well. They had a young man, I believe his name was McCord, that pitched the first game against Illinois. Now, it was a run rule game, shortened run rule game. But he just came in there and shut them down. 6 innings, only gave up 3 hits, Terry. So they can do it on both ends. I mean, they can pit that excellent defense. They had a couple of good double plays. Center fielder tracked one down that would have been a double in most games. So I just don't really see any flaws in their game. But you have to remember, once you get to the playoffs, which is Monday, it's one and done. So if you're not going to play a series, generally if you play 3, 4, 5 game series, the best teams got a better chance to win as you play more. But in a one game, anything can happen.
Yes, it can. I mean, bad pitching or a mistake here, a mistake there on defense could cost you a game. I'm with you.
Yeah, so it's here the game against Illinois. It seemed like that Festus was never really in this game. At one time, it was 9-0. And again, Stephen Klein pitched a scoreless inning in this game. He is a field player, and he's I think he's the one that hit it over the scoreboard. So I think he had like 3 or 4 RBIs in the game against Illinois. So they just have a ton of players on that roster, and they're really good. But we'll talk a little bit about Randolph County and their game against Massachusetts. I listened to that. The Fosters brought that one to us, and I listened to that one Friday night. And they struggled with Shrewsbury for a while, but there in the late innings, it seemed like they couldn't throw strikes. As the Massachusetts just ran out of pitchers for that day, had the bases loaded. They brought in another kid. They walked. They got an out, but then a pitch got away, and Randolph County was able to score a few runs there late and take home that victory to go 1-0 in pool play. I like Randolph County's chances, though. I mean, I think the Louisiana team has more talent, but the Randolph County team, they pitch pretty well. They got some good sticks on that team as well. Their shortstop, I can't remember the kid's name offhand, but he's really good. I watched him in the state tournament that when they played Fuquay Varina. They actually did not win that game, but defensively, the shortstop was excellent. So I wouldn't count him out, Terry.
Coming forward, and I know you've been over to watch these games, anything different besides, I know we keep talking about Louisiana and how they're playing. I mean, anytime you score, 12 runs in one game, 9 in the next one, everybody's looking at it like, how do we stop them? I mean, what can you stand out to the mound? Can it be a guy who's going to throw a lot of change-ups, or, instead of throwing fastballs? Or
It's going to have somebody throw them off. Now, if you have a guy not throwing as hard, you might get him the first time through the lineup. Once they time you up in the second. I just think that it's going to take a really good pitcher to keep them, to 3 or 4 runs and give your team a chance. You look at 2, and one was the short game, and they had 12 runs in 6 innings, and then they had 9 in the other. So 2 games got 21 runs, Terry. How do you slow that down? I'm not really sure, but as I said, once you get, it's been in some years past, it seemed like it was double elimination, and there might be a situation where you had to beat a team twice on the last day. Because I can remember 4 o'clock game, 7 o'clock if necessary. Seems like, in years, but it's been a while back. But in one game, you just never know what's going to happen. So if somebody gets, Louisiana in that one game format, and they've got their good pitcher, and they just have a good game, I think they can be beat. It's just going to be tough.
Now, are they going Stars and Stripes?
They are going Stars and Stripes, and that's going to be Tuesday, 4 to 7:30, I believe, is when they have it, or it's 4 and 7. 4 and 7. So the Stars champ plays the Stripes runner-up, and vice versa. Winner take all. Well,
now, Randolph County and Louisiana's in separate.
We're trying to see the pools, Terry. I don't have the pools in front of me of who's in which pool. I'll try to find that in just a second. I'm not sure if Randolph County is in Louisiana's pool. That's an interesting question.
Well, now, if Louisiana plays somebody else different tomorrow, and it's not today, and it's not Randolph, then they'll be done with theirs.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, because they play New Mexico tomorrow.
So,
they are not.
Yeah.
So you could see that matchup of Louisiana versus Randolph. So that would be, I would say, intriguing matchup. Like I said, I didn't see Massachusetts, but in listening to Andy and Tim bring that to us, I listened to about the 4th inning on. Their main problem in that game is it seemed like they ran out of arms. And if you have to play 4 or 5 games in 4 or 5 days, you got to have a lot of arms coming down, Terry, even in 7-inning games. And I'm glad they moved it to 7-inning games, because it does help out in that regard. When you only have 15 or 16 players, it's kind of hard to go 9 innings. It's kind of hard. And I'm glad North Carolina did that. Some people didn't like it. I thought it was good for North Carolina to go 7 innings. It's better baseball, because you're not getting into maybe the kids are trying to throw 4 or 5 innings when maybe they should only throw 2 or 3, because you've got to get through 9 innings. But I think the 7-inning games have made things appropriate for the level of ball. Does that make sense?
I understand.
So in 7-inning games, your pitching should go a little bit longer, but if the other night was any indication with Massachusetts, they may have a hard time once they get into that bullpen.
I want to ask you another question, Tom, as we're sitting here, and I know Hunter brought this up on his first game that he did. You know, you look at total of games some teams have played. Some of them have played over 60.
Yeah.
And then some of them's in the 30s. I mean, is that a plus or minus, or how would you look at stuff like that? As far as if you were to coach, would you have rather been on the team that had played a lot of games together or the team who only had a few?
I think there's advantages to both. I mean, when you get, some of the little things in the game like shortstop, second base working together and things like that, and communication, and make sure, you got your pickoff plays, your double play turns and things like that, which takes practice working together. If you do play a lot of games, you might burn up some arms. And these kids have played a high school season. I want to say North Carolina, you could play 24 with an endowment game. I might be wrong, Terry. It's somewhere in the low 20s. You've played that many games, and then you play another 50 or 60 American Legion games. I mean, you're tired come August.
Yeah, especially in a short period of time.
In the heat.
Yeah.
And some of these kids are playing weekend ball, too. I definitely think as a hitter, the more pitches you see, the better it is. I mean, I know the kids go to the batting cages and take batting practice, but it's just not like taking live pitches. I mean, you have to get some trigger time to use a metaphor there. But if they don't, if you don't play a lot, you don't see a lot of pitching, I think it works against you. So I really think it can work both ways. Coaches around here, like, you take a Mike Grayson, you take a, Bob Reynolds, they want to play.
Yeah.
They want to play. They don't believe in taking a whole lot of time off. But some of these teams I have seen played significantly less games than some of the other teams. So we'll see how that plays out. I want to say Louisiana's won over 30 games this year.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, too. I mean, could it be when you're playing so many games, could each state have different rules for Legion that you can play in a year and you cannot exceed?
Terry, what do you think about this? What do you think about Randolph County being able to go 4-30 and make the World Series?
What do you mean?
Theoretically, they could go 4-30. They could lose They could lose every game, not do anything. Then what? All they need is 3 pitchers for one weekend, and then you're in the World Series. I mean, automatic bids are okay to a certain point, but once you get to regional, it not only affects the regional and the World Series, it even affects the state, because Randolph knocked off teams in the state tournament that they might have beat Cherryville, or they might have beat Wilmington, but you don't know, or they might have beat Fuquay-Varina, but you don't know because of the matchups on that day. So Randolph County getting the automatic bid into the regionals, they could win 4 games the whole year, have 3 pitchers on one weekend, and they're in the World Series now playing for the World Series.
I mean, I understand your algorithm there, but I think it's very likely for a team to lose.
I'm not saying that's what they're doing. But they could. They could go 12-30 or 12-12, whatever the record you want. They've only got to win 4 games the whole year. That's all they have to do is have 3 pitchers on one weekend. They're in the World Series.
Well, that's just the way the American Legion's always been. I mean,
the
host team.
I was looking also back.
What I'm saying is, should the host at that level, once you get to the regional, should the host be getting automatic? It's a state. I understand. Maybe you're in your state.
All right.
But once you come to the regional, those people have earned it and proved that they're the best teams in their state. So Randolph County could win the World Series without winning their state title.
They
won the regional, but. Yeah.
Can I say this?
Yeah.
What have you often told me? It's about selling hot dogs.
Well,
right?
that's true too.
If you have
that's exactly a lot of what of it is that you want your home teams there, but at some point you have to reward, I think, the teams that kind of earn it and get there, especially in a regional. That's a little bit past the state.
I was looking, and this is me when you start looking at all the documents that's coming in, where Georgia had 2 teams.
Yeah, some teams don't have any at all.
Yeah, I mean, they only had 2 teams. Then you had another, and I can't remember which one it was. One state had like 360-some teams.
North Carolina's got 68, 120. They've got that many right now.
Yeah.
You are telling me in the entire state of Georgia with 9 million people, there are 2 American Legion teams.
Yeah, there's a lot of states like that, Tom. That they don't play American Legion baseball, and then so North Carolina
and the whole state.
That's all that was listed.
To win area 4, it's harder to win area 4 than to win most regionals and to win most state championships. Just to win Area 4 to get to the state in North Carolina, it's harder to do that to win Georgia, and for Randolph County to make it to a regional, it's harder to do that.
I'll probably say this is some states, I think different organizations like your travel ball and things like that are just stronger. And if they play that, they don't want to play American Legion baseball. I would definitely recommend it.
I know some people like playing soccer, Tom. I mean, you can't. Some people are different.
Yeah,
you just
soccer,
can't.
Soccer's
you can't
a
do
great game.
you can't- For kids, you're right. It is.
But what I'm saying is, some of these kids, I heard them when I did some weekend ball. They said, yeah, I had American. Because a kid said, I know you. I was like, how? He goes, you did my American Legion game 2 weeks ago. And he was playing on the
That's not good,
travel
Tom.
team.
Remember, you say it all the time.
Yeah. But I think he remembered me because,
remembered
you
you,
know, I
Terry.
was just
He remembered
really
the face.
outstanding, right? Get me out of Area 4. People like me a little bit. In Area 4, they're not real wild about me. But, yeah, but I think that's playing a lot. I mean, a position player's not as bad. But, you know, what happens sometimes, these kids throw during the week, and then the weekend coach says, hey, man, can you give us an inning or two out here? I don't know. It goes back to how much do you need to play?
Yeah, I wanted to go back because I didn't, but I went back when it said Georgia 2, and you can pull up the teams that's in it. And I was like, okay, so who did they play? How many games did they play? You had to go out of state to play somebody.
Yeah,
you know.
It just surprises me. I know that Georgia has to have a large contingent of veterans, you know, I mean, and they have to have a strong American Legion organization, I would think. South Carolina does.
Unless you didn't lodge every team that was playing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary because then you kind of throwing people off.
Here's you.
Yeah.
Well, we can go through a small list of teams. Alaska has 22 teams. Georgia has 2.
2. Yeah.
Alaska has
That's what I'm
22
saying.
American Legion teams.
2
Georgia
teams.
has
That
2.
really got me when I
Now
saw
remember,
that.
Area 4 has 18 teams. So when I say these numbers, Area 4 has it was 19 this year?
They usually have somewhere between 15 and 18.
It's like 17 this year. It was 17 teams this year.
I think they had 8-1, 9 in the
Right.
other. And some of these teams, they get to the end, and even if they're in the playoffs, they're like, we're done.
We don't have enough players this weekend.
We don't have enough
I mean, don't get me
players.
wrong now. The ones that really surprise me is like Puerto Rico has 1.
That's half as many as Georgia.
Well, I mean, my whole deal is who do you play?
Well, they're playing somebody.
Yeah.
How does that get sanctioned?
Yeah.
It's not equitable, but what I think, if I'm New Jersey or Rhode Island, I'm like, what is North Carolina, Virginia doing up here? You know what I mean? It's just
a geography teacher did not make to drop the regional maps. But then again, Tom, we don't know if they looked into how many teams by state. So if you take North Carolina and Georgia combined, which touch each other, it's 122 teams.
Yeah, but now I'm going to tell you something else I figured out. When you would take South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee and put all of them together, there was one state that had more than all 4 of them.
Pennsylvania has 253, and we never hear about them in the World Series somehow.
Well, if you have more teams, then your talent's more spread out.
No, what I'm saying is whoever gets through there should be awesome.
Yeah, they should.
I will tell you,
Minnesota 366.
There you go. That's the team I was talking about, 366.
But I guarantee you go up to Minnesota, and I don't know because for sure, but I guarantee you their travel ball, their weekend ball is probably not nearly as strong. Now they do it up north because I've got a little cousin that plays travel softball.
I'm pretty positive they probably play hockey in Minnesota.
They play
too.
hockey and other things,
And,
right? I bet there's travel hockey.
Instead of the fall, they're probably not playing baseball. It's cold as
they're not playing.
There's no fall baseball in Minnesota.
366
That's a ton, Terry. Well, it seems like every ball they hit would land in a lake up there if there's that many teams. I mean, somebody's got to hit one in the lake.
Traditionally, and since we're in the South, not too many people get mad at me, but over the years, I've seen the strongest teams in the South and in the West. You know, traditionally. Now, Minnesota did win it one year. I can remember they won the World Series championship against Mississippi. It was a great, 13-inning crazy game back in 2011. Same Minnesota team got 10 runs in the first game and came back and won the series. So, you know, anything can happen. It goes back to what I said.
South Carolina 73.
Yeah. Generally it's going to be stronger. Your stronger baseballs in the South. I think there's just a little bit stronger tradition of it. Maybe the high school programs and the weather's a little better. You can play longer.
Well, you said South and West too, so that too. It's two things that fall ball. So you can play in the fall and then other sports and there's more going outside in the South and in the West too. Like this weekend, I don't even have to play baseball this weekend. I can go out, do the lake, do something else. And the next weekend I can play baseball.
Right.
And then I'm up north. There's a lot of probably can't do it, especially in Portland where it rains every day. All right, guys, let's take a break. We're going to go down the schedules and more later, get in some other games and stuff. We're going to do a quick sound test, and we may be back in our main studio for you YouTube viewers watching online. We're in our radio studio now working on some sound changes. Hunter Yancey is not here today. He's feeling under the weather. He made it to the Jamboree last night, and he looked like a ghost almost. He said he was going to try to make it. Hey, donut time. Coach Tim Pruitt's in the house. We're going to take our break and talk about some donuts in a sec. We'll be right back. KTCBroadcast.com.
Some people don't know what a credit union is. It's not a secret club. In fact, the only secret about a credit union is that it's better than a bank. Carolina Federal Credit Union offers the area's best rates, lower fees, and better service.
I'm not just a number, I'm a member. My credit union helped me get financially fit.
Our credit union helps our family out every day.
My credit union. My credit union.
My credit union is Carolina Federal Credit Union.
Contact Carolina Federal Credit Union today and learn the secret firsthand.
Make your business or office a Boss of Carolina Country listener post. All you have to do is tune your radio in your business or office to 101.5 FM, 107.5 FM, or 92.3 FM. Let us know and we'll put your name on the radio. And each month we'll have a drawing from our area listening post for a dozen breakfast biscuits from the Creekside Clock Restaurant in Shelby, along with coffee or tea. Area listening posts include Promotion Motors in Lincoln, Cherryville Signs and Graphics, Lowe's in Lincoln, Watson Carpet and Tile Lincoln, RD Mattress Cherryville, Carolina Furniture in Lincoln, Memory Lane in Krause, Davis Brothers Automotive in Lincoln, It's Your Feed in Cherryville, Deja Vu Consignments in Cherryville. So make your business or office a Boss or Carolina Country listening post today.
Who are you? You're not a goat. Oh, you say you feel like a goat since you didn't buy your car from Renato Auto Mall in Shelby. And now you're putting up with a bunch of bull. Don't be like my friend here. You get no bull at Renato Honda and Renato Kia at Renato Auto Mall in Shelby. 4423 East Dixon Boulevard. Don't let another dealer get your goat.
Stop and save this summer at McKinney Chevrolet Buick Cadillac GMC in Gastonia. Stop in, see how much money you can save. Save over $7,600 on a 2018 Buick Encore. But that's not all. Save over $6,500 on a 2018 Chevrolet Cruze. That's not all. You can drive away in a brand new GMC Sierra 1500 truck for only $35,999. Stop in and save now at McKinney Buick Cadillac GMC Truck, 831 South Main Street, Lowell. Online at McKinneyChevrolet.com.
Napa know-how.
Napa Auto Parts in Cherryville carries a complete line of paint supplies from your tapes, sanding supplies, thinners, and of course we will mix paints to match. We can even make a custom aerosol paint. So come by and check out our Martin Senor paints and let us help you with your next paint projects.
Napa know-how.
Your Napa store, Cherryville Auto and Truck Parts, Highway 150 West and Cherryville.
Now open, the all-new Main Street Tire and Lube, located at 300 East Main Street, downtown Cherryville. Bill and Kevin invite you to stop in soon. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. and from 7:30 a.m. till 1 p.m. on Saturday. See them for your new tires, brakes, oil changes, and inspections, and get free balancing with a set of any new tires. Call 704-769-8201. The new Main Street Tire and Lube, now open in downtown Cherryville at 300 East Main Street.
Hello, KTC. We're back. We believe we've got the radio working now, so we're going to find out real fast. Can y'all give me a little talk of 1 2 1 2?
Well, welcome back to Saturday Morning Sports Talk, sponsored by Mitchem's Kitchen, out of Wolf Brooks, Finest in Food, and Carl. 236 and 1155. I'm talking to stuff in my face.
You did stuff your face this morning. I'm going to
tell you, it is a bologna, liver mush, and egg on toast.
Bologna, liver mush, and egg. You know, there's never a limit to amount of meat that you can put on a sandwich, is there, Terry?
No, there's not.
Just keep on going. Just keep on going. Liver mush and
it's donut time. There's a second. Coach Pruitt on the phone. Just stop by and drop some donuts. Coach Pruitt, you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Tom, could you talk to him a second?
Oh, sure. Coach, we're going to grab some headphones real quick. Okay, he's hooking up, and Terry's having a sandwich, Coach. So I'm going to talk to you for a second. You came in. It was good to meet you. I hadn't had a chance to shake your hand and get to know you a little better, so that's great. You told us you had some scrimmages. You mentioned, I believe, one of the Wilkes County teams and a few others that you had been scrimmaging. So just tell us some takeaways from your preseason games.
We scrimmaged Tuesday night against Fred T. Ford and Wilkes Central. Then on Friday night last night, we went to Bunker Hill. The JVs took 10-10, so the JVs got in about 40 plays. And, of course, we sprinkled a few juniors in with our JVs with our numbers the way they are. And then the varsity pulled the change for 2 quarters. The scrimmages went well from the standpoint of health. We have one kid who got injured in the first scrimmage with a knee injury, but other than that, we are pretty healthy going into the first game of the year, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to play at home this Friday night against Cranston King. Lots of stuff to work on. Got to get better with the simple things of football. You're not blocking and you're not tackling, and that creates difficulties with the games. And those are things that I think probably a lot of teams need to improve on this time of the year with the amount of time we actually get to have true contact before we play a game. But this year, we've got an extra week built in there. This time last year, I was telling y'all this morning when we had already played the game.
Right.
The 17th, which is a year ago today. But with that said, we got a little extra time, and hopefully we use that time wisely and get ready for a conference game right off the bat, and then we really good opponents in our non-conference schedule.
Well, Coach, let me ask you a question. And just watching some of those scrimmage games yesterday, something that really, I don't know why it bugs me so much. When you talk about, execution and ironing things out, it just looked like there was a lot of plays where there are people moving before the snap. I'm not talking about going in motion. I'm talking about simulating the snap, rocking forward, quarterback like taking 2 steps back and then taking the snap. Now I know that there's some motion and things legal, but it just seems like a lot of things simulating the snap, and it just drives me nuts. And I just don't know how you as a coach, does that kind of vary from game to game about how tight that's going to be? And then when you have problems with that, how do you address that and take care of that problem?
Well, I take it you're saying a little bit from the defensive end moving, but also the offensive players. For us, our cadence stays the same every snap. We say ready, set, go. Right. And hopefully our guys are set before we ever start that cadence. Also, usually we get into it and we try to snap it early, but we do try to tempo teams and not call a play, simulate the snap from the standpoint of us setting our cadence. I think one time last year they said, your quarterback's clapping, your quarterback's moving his hand, we gave us a penalty. But overall, we haven't had a lot of issues with that. But it is something that you probably see in today's game more with silent count, with people clapping and lots of motion. We played Bunker Hill last night. They ran lots of motion. I would say they had some form of motion on maybe a little over half of their plays, less than 2/3 of their plays. So I guess that's something that you see a little bit more, particularly in the spread offense world of, teams spreading it out. I imagine most teams of Cleveland County Jamboree was in some form of spread.
Yeah, a lot of them were. What you see is that wide receiver, like taking that quick step forward before the snap, and running backs, before he's going to take the handoff and he's getting the ball, he'll come up and start going towards the line of scrimmage, and a lot of times not called. So I guess sometimes they tighten up on that. I guess it's kind of like a balk in baseball. You got some umpires that are going to get that balk every single time, and there's some that are going to let it go. And they might have been letting it go a little bit, but that would just drive me crazy as a defensive coach, because a lot of times you're looking for that guy to move. I'm looking the way the running back moves. I know he's going to get the ball, and now he's moved forward and he doesn't get the penalty. That's just kind of that would just get under my skin as a coach.
Yeah. I think the call that I want as a coach is when teams are moving and doing motions and everybody's not set.
Right.
So it goes in motion. That's, to me, an easy call to make.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get made a whole lot.
It does not. It does. And another rule change that I saw was now that as soon as say the ball goes out of bounds or you got a guy tackled, that 40 seconds goes on the clock.
Yep.
And in between, if it's like a penalty, you have 25 seconds. But otherwise, you have 40 seconds. Do you like that rule change, or do you not like it, or how do you feel about that?
With the tempo we play at, we don't have issues with that. The only thing this year with our numbers, we were probably going to slow it down on offense a little bit, but the 40-second makes you kind of speed it up a little bit. I think you have to have those kids ready and out there and getting that movement and getting themselves lined up. Which for us, calling our things from the sideline, our formation, and our play, I think that makes it easier. If somebody's bringing in the play, I would say that they probably are signaling in that formation so kids know where to go, and then muddle huddling and getting it up there and getting it done quick. So, I don't think that's a big issue. Did anybody down the ball on a shotgun snap last night?
I did not see that. I know that's been a rule change as well, and I think it's a good rule change.
It is. People that run shotgun just because you don't get used to getting under the center, and if you don't get under the center and then you just fumble it in that situation, that can affect the football game. So I think that's a good change. We're only doing that in the state of North Carolina.
Really?
That is the only state in the country that's using it. We're doing it as a temporary rule to see if that will be something that comes into effect for the entire country in the future. So,
we also saw a player in the Burns game, Burns Independence, a player hurdle the defender. Now I've seen it reminds me of Zeke Elliott. I've seen him do that a number of times. In the pros, it's legal, but in high school, it is a penalty. What do you think about that rule, Coach?
That happened to me a couple years ago in the Bedford City game. I saw a guy with a Bedford City shirt on. Davion Harden hurdled a guy, and then when he hurdled him, of course, here comes the flag, and it is a safety rule, and it's a rule that's out there. So making sure kids are safe, and you probably don't. It's just a natural thing, I think, for a player to do that. So with that said, it was just one of them plays, and you don't see it a whole lot, but it does get called. It does get called. I saw on film, we actually traded film for a scrimmage with Patrick Clark, former Cherryville coach at Bunker Hill, and I thought one of his players he side hurdled the guy. It was a close call, but they didn't call it. So with that said, you'll see it every now and then, but there's some rules, when you're around football long enough, there's certain rules that you don't really know apply, and then it happens in the game, and everybody's like, what are they doing? What are they calling? So, and I can't even tell you what the signal is for the officials to call a hurdling.
Well, Coach, from my standpoint, I don't like it at all. As a runner, I was actually standing looking right down the sideline when this kid hurdled him last night. He cleared him by 2 or 3 feet, and he landed perfectly fine and ran another 10 yards or so before someone called him. And, my thing is, as a runner, we talk, which is safer? Do we try to the kid dove at his ankles. So are you just supposed to get a helmet into your ankles, or how? What do they teach you? Hey, don't hurdle him. But if he dives at your ankles, what do you do?
That that's the thing about Tavion. Tavion was a big running back for us, and that's what the kid was doing. He was going low, and he hurdled him. I think the thing that probably has changed a little bit with football. You would see people when people go low, you stiff arm them.
Right.
You don't see the stiff arm as much as you probably do in the past. So there's a lot of nuances of the game that have changed. But going low on a tackle, particularly when you're tackling a big bag, the thing that I see a lot is the rule. And I wish we had it in high school. Going low on a quarterback. That's not really a rule in high school, but that happened with our quarterback last night. The guy went low. I mean, he was unblocked. Here he comes, and all of a sudden he goes low on him. It's hard to see that, and it's just kids playing. But if you put the rule in and say, guys, you can't go wrong on the quarterback, then hopefully that's something that gets coached up and kids won't do it as much.
That sounds like a way better rule than you can't jump over someone if they dive at your ankles.
It's
like that turns into just everybody just slide tackle soccer style, right, Tom? You just do that to everybody. Like, why wouldn't you do that to everybody?
I mean, I like the rule Coach Pruitt was talking about that. I mean, you hit a guy in the knees, you're going to end the season maybe his career.
I'm running. I don't want to be hitting the knees like it.
But sometimes Coach, the blocking rules do confuse me a little bit in high school football. And if you're, in high school, along the line of scrimmage, you can't cut a guy, can you? Like a run play or a pass, you can't go low on a guy in high school, can you?
If they're in the free blocking zone or inside of tackles, and they line up on the line, you can cut them at the initial snap of the football. Okay. You cannot wait, delay, or let's say a linebacker's blitzing from depth and he comes running through the free blocking zone. You can't cut them. But when it comes to cutting, you can do that. Now I would say not a lot of coaches are teaching the cut like they used to, because when I started coaching 20-some years ago, you talked about linemen, you might say, hey, guys, we're going to block with our hat in hands. You can't lead with your hat. And sometimes when you go to cut, obviously you're exposing your head and your neck in that situation. So, it's different for each team. In some schools, I think probably South Point has been cutting people for generations, so that's probably still part of their program. But, I have not seen a South Point football game in about 20 years. So, with that said, I'm busy during football season, and then around playoff time, it just depends on where to go. But certain schools are going to use that technique, and it is legal inside the free blocking zone, but it's got to be somebody that's on the line, and it's got to be done as soon as the ball snaps.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I mean, I wish they would take it out of the game, because, it's just, if you get, something goes wrong with your knees, it's hard to come back from that. So, we had a kid that had to have knee surgery. He's a running back. If they get hit in the knees, that's just part of the game. But where you can take it out of the game for the player safety, I would not mind seeing that taken out of the game. But as you said, still legal as long as you do it in the blocking zone and you don't do it to, like, so you got a running back there in pass protection. He can't cut a blitzing.
He cannot cut anybody. And there's other rules about crackback. A crackback block. Right. Somebody lines up on the at a wing or an end, and you can't cut the guy on the inner line of scrimmage because you're outside the tackle box.
Right.
So now in college and the NFL, you can cut pretty much anywhere you want as long as it's not a clip or from behind. Right. So that's a huge difference in the game between high school and college football for sure.
So college, you can't. Yeah, I've seen that. It seems like in college games, I have seen that. Like a guy's coming free, and a running back would run there, cut his legs, and take him out. Boy, that's dangerous. I guess these coaches are really holding their breath every time that happens.
Yeah, definitely, and that's dangerous for the defensive players. But I think the game of football has become a lot safer in the last generation, in the last 10 years of my coaching. The heads-up tackling protocol that USA Football uses, and we use in Gaston County, and a lot of people in our area use. So, there's a lot of things in that area to make the game better. And even a couple years ago, the Seattle Seahawks developed a hog tackle, where you come up to a guy, and if you want to tackle him low, you lead with your head behind his legs, and then you wrap with both hands and wrap and roll. That's something that they actually have instilled in USA Football, and that you can coach up, and hopefully makes the game safer too. Because if you lead with your head into somebody's knee, that's going to be a dangerous play. So, and that's something that Pete Carroll's put into his program, and something that they've done through the USA Football program. So,
well, Coach, I'm going to tell you one thing. We love to hear a coach's perspective, and we got our own perspective of what we think. But from a coach, you're seeing it firsthand. You're watching everything that happened, and that's a big influence for us and other people who are listening. But I know you got Christ the King coming up on this Friday. Have you seen any kind of film on them or anything to help your squad out?
I pulled up Max Preps or something last night on my thing. The Max Preps, if you go to the team page, you can usually find some highlight films. I think I found one highlight of some of their game with Highland Tech last year. We haven't traded film yet. I called Coach Rhodes yesterday. Hopefully they had a scrimmage last night, and here in the not-too-distant future we'll get some film and get ready. But I don't know very much about them other than they're a parochial school in Huntersville. They were added to our conference this year, and we were originally supposed to play Bunker Hill. That's why we scrimmaged last night. They had to fall in everybody's slots, and we moved Highland Tech up to the 5th game of the year this season, and our open date is now where the Highland Tech game was. So I don't know a lot about them other than, last year was their very first year of playing football. I mean, you're a first-year team. You're not probably going to have a whole lot of success. I mean, many years ago, people would say that about the Thomas Jefferson Griffons, and you see what they're doing now. So, you got to start with baby steps in that process, and they'll be a young team. But, we have a young team this year. We basically bring 3 guys back on offense and 3 guys back on defense. And last night we had our full complement of our linemen. We had a couple guys who are playing our tackles who didn't play at Cherryville High School last year. Kyle Wallace was a freshman who played several years ago, and he's done a good job. And the other kid that we're excited about is Jackson Bowers. So we right now are more concerned probably about ourselves and getting this first game and having all of our special teams installed and being fundamentally sound with what we want to do. So we're really more about us probably the early part of the week, and then we'll dig into Christ the King and get ready for them.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Kevin might have something for you before you go.
The most important thing to thank Coach about is the donuts, Tommy.
Yeah, he did bring us in a box of glazed donuts. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's why we always talk good about them. We always talk good about you. They feed you well, but we appreciate you taking the time just about every Saturday to call in and talk to us. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys. I look forward to talking to you next week. Go Iron.
All right, have a good one. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
That's Coach Tim Pruitt and the Cherryville Ironman football team. They have Christ the King this week. Milton Baker and Danny Aker will have coverage of that game on Friday night. WCSL 1590 AM, 92.3 FM. It's football season, Terry. Are you excited? I know nobody's more excited than Terry Reinhardt. I know
exactly right. Well, I mean, he has mentioned, and he mentioned Coach Clark over at Bunker Hill. West Lincoln had them in a scrimmage too, and even West Lincoln said, "Hey, if the team's a little bit better than what people might think." Bunker Hill's had a couple bad seasons in a row, and hard to get victories. But I mean, I'm not saying it's going to lead up to some more wins this year for them. But even West Lincoln said, "Hey, a little bit better team than what people might think."
JP, you got us in there? Does he got us in there? He's supposed to have his headphones on because he can't hear us. I guess not, right? Does he?
JP, can you hear us in there?
There he is.
Put your headphones on. Oh, poor kid. He's got to wake up. All right, Terry, we've got football Friday night coming up this Friday night. Folks, if you're a new listener, if you're an old listener, pretty much the same stuff as we're doing for the most part. We're going to have a couple of maybe new features and new things here and there. But on Friday nights, this is your place to be for high school football here in the western part of North Carolina, especially in Gaston, Cleveland, and Lincoln counties. You can watch our show on Friday nights. Terry will be here, myself, Dennis Davis, Will Boykins. We'll have guest hosts. The announcers will stop in, get them some food. We'll have, speaking of food, we got a new sponsor for that. We'll talk about that later. We've got some that we'll have coaches call in, players, coaches. If you're listening out there, watching, if you have an off week, or when you have an off week, everybody has an off week. Give us a call. You can come in, join Terry and us in the gang here in the pregame show and give a preview if you don't want to be here late night. Or if you want to be here late night, don't have nothing to do after a game, give us a call. Tell us you're going to come by. Or if you don't even want to tell us you're coming by, just stop in, swing on by after the game, coaches, and we'll put you on the radio and on YouTube, and we'll talk a little football and have a little fun. And we're going to have a good time this year, beginning at 5:30 every Friday night, folks. The pregame show with Terry, Hunter, and Shannon. They'll be going over all the games in the area. They'll be giving you some predictions and other fun things on where to listen to the games, where to watch the games. Then at 6:30 on WLON, they'll start their pregame South Fork 2A pregame show at 6:30, and then they'll have their game pregame show at 7. And then they'll move on into, of course, everyone kicking off at 7:30. Crest will also start their pregame show at 6:30. Shelby, Burns, and the Cherryville Ironman's pregames will start at 7. The pregame show here in the studio on YouTube, folks, will be here at 5:30 to 7. And then from that, we'll go to the games. We'll have the game scores up during the games on Twitter, maybe even on our try to get them up on our maybe even a live stream from here in the studios or something. You guys can follow along. But if you'll follow at Twitter Scores, Terry gets the scores, and Andre Bush round up scores on Friday nights, folks. They do a great job of that. It'll be the best place you can find scores on Friday nights. And, Terry, if we work it right, if people want to, they can email us or if they want to post it on YouTube themselves, highlight videos of the games, and we'll try to include those in the post-game show. So if you got your phone, or if a team, if you guys get, Burns gets done, Tom, and they get back, start looking at video, and they want to send us something before the game show, like Keywan Pryor made a 95-yard touchdown run or something, they want to send us. We'll try to squeeze it in on the show and show some highlights. Some of the highlight shows aren't in the area. Have you heard of the WBTV? What they're doing, Terry? They're cutting back to 15 minutes on football Friday night. Only scores basically. No more Delano and anything else. So we're the main gig.
Did Delano just retire?
I'm not exactly sure, so I don't want to get in exactly all that. So I don't know the answer to that, Tom. But either way, we'll have about almost 2 hours usually on Friday nights of high school football scores, and folks, you can watch on YouTube. We're not going to be at all the games to have highlights at, but we'll be at some of the games, anywhere from 2 to 4 live video games on Friday nights, depending on what schools we go to. Don't send us mean letters, except to Tom, about which schools allow us to do video. Some schools do, some schools don't. Some counties make the decision. Some individual schools make decisions. Some of them want to charge way more than what it would be for us to be able to broadcast it. So there's a lot of why you guys do this, or you guys are favorites of this, maybe in football and other sports. It's not like that, folks. We go where we can, where we want. Terry, I remember one year at some point, if you remember, about 5-7 years ago, we had 6 games a week.
Oh yeah,
on live video, plus Cherryville Ironman on radio. So we had 7 games a week, and so now we've cut back to 5, and 4 of them are the Cleveland County teams.
Well, when I remember in my post game show days, that's what I would do. I would sit in my living room and watch a little of the West Lincoln game, and watch a little bit of the Crest game, watch a little bit of the if Newton Conover, we were covering them, and you'd get to see like all the teams and all the talent. Right. You could actually talk about them when you came in. So some schools are just spooked out. They just think that, hey, it's going to reduce our attendance. It's going to do this or that. But I really think, and my daughter and I actually had a conversation.
Think about when they say that before you go real quick, Tom. People say that, or the people in charge will say that, and then turn around and the folks at the American Legion World Series pay ESPN to put them on worldwide coverage.
For the exposure.
There's your word, Tom. The exposure.
I mean, I just don't understand. Like that.
Pay ESPN. They want us to pay.
There are a lot of people out there. And you got people like, my knees are bad. I'm not crawling up and down them stadiums. And you don't think about that. Like somebody's not in the best of health. Right. They don't go to the game because you got to park your car. You got to walk half a mile. Then you got to walk up and down stands. Some people, they're just not going to go. It doesn't matter if it's on TV or not. Mm-hmm. And that's who we're extending our coverage to. There's a lot of people that live out of state. There's grandmas and grandpas that have retired down in Florida that would watch the game. So I just really don't think it's taken much away from the gate. And I know as an athletic director, it's not supposed to be about money, but it is, Terry.
It is.
It is. I mean, it is.
This is the sport. A lot of people say football is what gets the whole thing started.
Right, or they'll say football is the sport that pays for all the others, and it's unfortunate. I mean, and there's a lot of people, Terry. I'll just say they're not going to go because they can't afford it. I mean, if you're a guy married and you got 3 kids, and I think it's like $7-8, you're talking $35-40 just to walk in the gate. They're not going to go to the game.
And I remember times when Lewis was here, and me and him would be sitting there. We had people calling us from Canada, Florida, California.
Right.
Because they have watched the game or was listening to the game through KTC.
Quick exercise. Name me the 5 best states for football in America.
Texas, California, Florida, Ohio, South Carolina.
All right, you got 3. Okay, so you named 5. I don't know if that's top 5, but just by our thoughts and opinion. Now, I'm going to read you the states that watched the North Carolina American Legion baseball state tournament. Now, for you football coaches, think about all the colleges that are in these states I'm about to read that could be watching your players play football. North Carolina, of course, was the number 1 state that watched the American Legion World Series. Terry? 2 teams in Georgia. That's where all our fans are, buddy. They're the number 2 state watching team.
How about that?
It is. Georgia was the number 2 state that watched the American Legion World Series on KTC Broadcasting. We got over 2,000 views from Georgia on that, and they only got 2 teams down there. So thank you all for Georgia fans. State number 3, South Carolina. State number 4, New York. There's some money and schools in New York, isn't there? I think. State number 5, Texas, was watching the North Carolina American Legion World Series. State tournament, not the World Series, folks. North Carolina American Legion State tournament. Yeah. California is number 6 on the list. There's some pretty big schools out in California. Tennessee, number 7, and number 8 on the list, Terry, Pennsylvania. Now,
well, they have so many teams. You said earlier they have so many teams, so naturally they're interested.
So just for example, so you're coaching, Burns High School. Just looking at this, all of these. Let's see, who could watch Kewan Pryor run the ball? Georgia Bulldogs, Georgia Tech, South Carolina, Clemson, Rutgers, all the New York teams. Else you want to name? Texas. How many teams in Texas could be watching Kewan Pryor run the ball? Tennessee, Pennsylvania, Penn State. Temple, all these teams, California, my goodness, all these schools and people in these states see Kewan Pryor on TV. Hey, give a call to Burns. Hey, Coach Devine.
Yeah,
tell me about that kid that looked like a lightning flash on TV last night.
And I'll say this: Chris White has always been very welcoming, and I think he gets that aspect of it. Some other schools I won't mention have just not been very friendly to it, and I understand they're going to scout us. It's not about you. And that's what a lot of people, and Terry, you've been in the classroom a long time, teaching and coaching, of course you want to win and all that, but it's really not about you.
Yeah, that's true.
It's about these young men and women that we coach and we teach, and some people don't get it, and they'll never get it because it's about them, but it's about, like he's talking about, the Pryor kid, and there's a lot of kids across.
God, yeah.
There's a lot of kids.
Well, if
it's
you tune
about
in to
them.
see Pryor, what else do you see? You see Cameron Sweezy.
You see Cameron. You're going to see
Leslie. You see everybody else out there too. Then all of a sudden, hey,
that have a chance.
Well, this kid might. Yeah. Well, we might. Let's say if you're, you teach Chattanooga. Well, let's say Kewan might not want to come here. Leslie might.
Yeah.
Or Sweezy might.
Yeah.
And it's just a chance, folks. And that's what. The whole reason we started doing this was because we always got comments, talks. God, wouldn't it be because everybody loves football Friday night.
Yeah,
people will do anything to be on 10 seconds on WBTV just to highlight, show the cheerleaders make 5 sounds,
all right,
show 1 touchdown, and oh my gosh, guys, did y'all see us on football Friday night?
Right.
And so people will be like, God, it'd be good to have like a sports center for the local area, or be able to watch the games. And so we start putting all that together, and then now you get pushback on some stuff like that.
Well, the American Legion softball.
Yes, they were begging us to be out there.
Yeah, they were begging us to be out there. But it was back in Cumberland County who won the state. So let's recognize the ladies who won.
Terry, listen to this.
They rolled it. I don't know whether they did it or not. I don't know how they did it.
This is how we picture it.
I had the Cumberland mamas. Now we're over there saying, they're watching back. It's our first day of school, and the entire school is watching this now. So they might have just streamed it and brought everybody in. They may have a theater or something where they could put up a big. I'm not sure how they did it back in the '80s.
When
we went to school, they'd roll in the TV on the cart so you can watch.
Tom said that too. I said, did they roll the cart in with the laptop sitting on the cart?
But they were.
They were watching ACC tournament style.
But the mamas were like, okay, make sure you get. There was one lady, I believe she was Vietnamese, and came in and made sure that we knew how to say her daughter's name. She goes, they've been saying my daughter's name wrong, so we made sure we got it right. But the point is, they watch. They're going to go back and rewatch. When they have children, they're going to say, hey, this is where, and I just think I would love to have that. When we played 80s and 90s, I'll never be able to see any of that footage again, and these kids will be able to see it if they let us do it.
What about this, Tom? Let's say you play. We had that girl that gave the speech out there. She played softball. What if you're any of those girls or little girls? You see the speech, or you see the game, or say you are growing up. You get about 15, Terry, and then your daughter's sitting here on her phone, and be like, "Look, this is what I did when I was 15.
Right.
Let's watch Mama win the state championship, or Daddy play in this game." Instead of you doing this and that, maybe we could, play a sport or do this. It gives you a little motivation, maybe even. Just see it later down the road. So 30 players on the field, all 30 of those are going to go back and watch their game probably later on
absolutely.
At some point, right?
Absolutely. And it's just a good thing for the kids. And
same thing with getting numbers, kind of the same thing real quick. In baseball, Tommy, with the numbers, hey, guys, I can go play American Legion baseball. They're going to show us on YouTube, or I can go play weekend ball with 10 mamas in the stands. Like
pretty
much. And 3 scouts. Yeah. So, how you want to do it? You can play American Legion baseball over here in the castle. What's funny, these teams come in just, gosh, what a wonderful facility. I can't believe a high school team plays on this, and I can't believe, how nice it is. And then the kids, well, I'm going to play some. I'm going to play some. Well, play for those 3 scouts or whatever. But like, we do like the exposure part that, the guys can watch the tournament. They go back to their hotels, that they tune in, checking it out and stuff like that. So, anyway, we've got JP. Are you about ready in there? I know I pulled your earphones up a minute ago. We're going to take a break just a sec. Go ahead, Ted. We're about to wrap up.
Well, I was just going to say congratulations, because I know me and Tom got to do a few games over there for the
that was
Legion
fun. World
softball. I loved it. Yeah, I did.
That was fun.
But for Cumberland, congratulations. There's a second state champion in Legion. Softball Concord Post 51 won last year over at Morgan, and then they win this year. But it's a up and coming succession that we hope just keeps building, because I know Mike Hassan wants it to be a national program coming up. So maybe that's in the future. And the way it's growing, it went from 11 to 24, now to 60, and now they're looking for maybe 80 to 100 next year.
Okay, I'm gonna get silly for half a second here before we go to break, Tom. I know
you're never silly for half a second.
I know you're gonna say no, Kevin. Let's do it. All right, so American Legion baseball, they've, and I've thought about this for high school and stuff too. But let's just use it for American Legion baseball. So they've went backwards kind of, or they've extended to let the college kids play. Then they've went to junior legion. So they've tried to expand the age basis, right? Why don't they just have American Legion sponsored adult baseball?
You're talking beer league, American Legion baseball.
I'm not talking beer league. I'm talking, hey, these kids are 25 and actually still good at baseball.
Yeah, but like 25-year-old, they got like kids and
some of them
jobs and all that stuff.
Tom, let's see. How many players have played for Cherryville American Legion baseball in the last 25 years?
I mean, yeah, there's.
You can find 9 guys that'll go out there and swing. I promise you. You can bring in Chris Mason and Ralph Roberts today. Like, Ralph can pitch right now. But somebody was joking when he was there last time. It was like, anybody try to sneak you in like an adult league?
Well, let's do the 40 and over league, so I can go out there and play.
Well, not that. I was just talking, a college level league. So because you got 19 and under right now, just 20-year-olds like a college level league, and then you just extend it even more. Then I think I would maybe spice up the rivals a little bit more.
You put a bunch of 26-year-old guys from West Lincoln and Cherryville, and then get them with the Shelby guys. I'm gonna tell you better have the law down there too, because they're gonna be a fight.
They're gonna sell lots of hot dogs and lots of Bud Lights. I'm trying to make money.
You better get the law down there too.
I'm making money for the American Legion, Tom. I just want to tell them you're welcome. I made y'all.
And they better make them 5-inning games, because these guys aren't running and lifting weights.
5-inning games. All right, guys. JP, let's take a break. We come back, folks. We've got high school football to get into. We've got NFL, NASCAR, and more on KTCBroadcasting.com.
Country Gold with Terry Clark.
I'm Terry Clark, inviting you to join me for Country Gold, where we play all your favorites from the 80s and 90s. My guest is Joe Diffie from backstage at the Grand Ole Opry. We'll get caught up on everything going on in his world, including his tour with Sammy Kershaw. That's Joe Diffie with me on Country Gold with Terry Clark.
Country Gold with Terry Clark, Thursday afternoons at 1 o'clock on Carolina Country, WCSL, 92.3 FM, 1590 AM, and online at KTCBroadcasting.com.
How would you like to win a $500 shopping spree from one of our local area merchants? Sure you would, and you can. All you have to do is register at one of our participating sponsors, including Dallas Express Pharmacy on Hoffman Street in Dallas, Flooring America on Slater Street in Kings Mountain, Carolina Hardware Garden and Pool Supply on the Reepsville Road in Lincoln, Full Throttle Power Sports on the Indian Walk at I-85 in Lowell, at Arnold's Jewelry South Washington Street in Shelby, Okies Tower West Warren Street in Shelby, and at Mitchem's Kitchen on Highway 27 West in Vail. The drawing will be held on Friday, August 30th. Register to win a $500 area merchant shopping spree, brought to you by the What's Up Shopper and KTC Broadcasting.
Who are you? You're not a goat. Oh, you say you feel like a goat since you didn't buy your car from Renato Auto Mall in Shelby. And now you're putting up with a bunch of bull. Don't be like my friend here. You get no bull at Renato Honda and Renato Kia at Renato Auto Mall in Shelby. 4423 East Dixon Boulevard. Don't let another dealer get your goat.
Shop, savor, and share the fun at Charlotte's favorite event for women, the Southern Women's Show, August 23rd through 25th at the Convention Center. Discover hundreds of boutiques filled with the latest fashions and trends, jewelry, gourmet treats, health and beauty, and so much more. See Val Schmerkowski from Dancing with the Stars, meet American Idol winner Taylor Hicks, and drop by on Friday after work for Girls Night Out. Visit SouthernWomenShow.com for details and tickets. Sponsored by Food Lion Chevrolet and Novant Health.
Check out the new rates at the Crows Mountain Golf Course, voted Gaston County's #1 golf course. Play and ride Monday through Friday for $28. After 1 p.m., just $25. Seniors 55 and older play and ride for $25 Monday through Friday, and Monday is Ladies' Day. Play and ride for only $18. And on weekends and holidays, play and ride for only $38. After 11 a.m. for $33. Crowder's Mountain Golf Course. For your tee time, call 704-734-0383.
For a good night's sleep, head to Hendrick Appliance and Mattress Center in Shelby. Visit their showroom featuring Sealy and Tempur-Pedic mattresses. From twin to twin XL, from full to queen, and from king to California king. There's one that will help you feel completely rested when the sun comes up tomorrow morning. Ask about special summer sale-down pricing now. Relax and rest comfortable tonight with a new Sealy or Tempur-Pedic mattress from Hendrick Appliance and Mattress Center. 1241 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby. Online at HendrickAppliance.com.
And welcome back to Saturday More Sports Talk with Kevin and the gang. I'll send to you guys.
All right, good morning, JP. Excuse me. Have a little fun. KTCBroadcasting.com. Kevin Hastings along with Terry Reinhardt and Tom Sinifani. And if you watch it online, this is Muggsy. Hunter Yancey's in the house today. Hunter couldn't make it today. So Muggsy, the stuffed Muggsy Bugs is taking care of it. I don't even know if they have an official name. I guess is it a doll or what is it?
What are you talking about?
My Muggsy Bugs.
It's a
Stuffy.
doll. It's a figurine.
They're just, I guess.
Well, what are we talking about next
figurine.
here? Where are we going? Where are we going?
I'm just trying to confuse Tom. Major League Baseball while we was talking.
Okay, Major League Baseball. Indians were briefly in first place, but then I tell you what, the Boston has got to be the best bad team in the history of baseball. I mean, because they can still hit a ton. And they really, their talent level is not really where they are. They're 17 games back. It's hard to believe. Cleveland did have 24 hits against New York and got beat last night 3-2. Braves are still in first place, I believe, Kevin, by how many games?
4.5.
4.5.
Mm-hmm.
So all the Braves fans out there. And I'm sorry, I've been listening. I've been off for the last couple weeks. And since I've been doing radio, I have more appreciation for the guys that call a good game. So I'll sit there and listen to the Cleveland game before I go to bed. And every one of those games here with Minnesota when they were playing for first place, you know, it's good if you don't get a chance to do it. You know, I know that Calvin covers the Braves games on WOHS. Man, you need to listen to a game. It's really a great experience to listen to a ball game. You know, I just think it is. It's kind of like a throwback thing, but and you could do it anywhere. You could do your chores around the house, or just kind of sit and relax and don't have to turn on the TV, don't have to be in one spot to watch it. So I just enjoy it.
Tom, I do the same thing, especially when it comes football season and it's on a Saturday evening and North Carolina State's getting ready to play. I turn to the Wolfpack Radio Network,
right,
and I turn it up.
Yeah,
and I'm outside doing what
outside
I got to do.
Doing something. Yeah,
yes.
my wife got me this cool little Bluetooth speaker. So when I was doing some chores around the house, I was cleaning up. Ball games on. I just put the ball game on and listen. A lot of them were the state tournament,
and I knew that I had to call a game, so I wanted to be familiar with some of the teams and such. So, Danny Aker and Milton were calling a game, and Hunter and you called a game. I listened to that game on the radio. So I just really enjoy, keeping up with, especially with the out-of-market teams, with the radio. I have to get satellite radio to listen to some of my teams, but it is a good experience. So if you don't, once you start doing it, you get into it.
Yes, you do.
You'll get into it. But I know we got a lot of Braves fans around here, and it is good to see the Braves back on top. 4.5 games up on the Nationals and 7 up on the Phillies. I wouldn't say it's over, but that's a pretty good lead. Far from over. That can be eclipsed very quickly. We see the Cardinals back on top in the Central. That makes Kevin happy, as that's kind of like the nobody wants to win that division. Milwaukee's only 2 back. They're all their teams are in the mid-60s. I want to say every other division has a team with 70 wins. I know New York's about 78 wins. Cleveland, Minnesota, 71, 72 wins. Atlanta, 72 wins. But most division leaders have won at least 70 games. But that National League East, that Central is going to be, the Dodgers have won 82.
Well, the Cardinals would have 70 wins if Molina had stopped getting hurt this year. He's missed about 30 games. So when he's in there, they win. When he's not, they don't. And, it's been the same way for them for years, and it's just as simple as that. Yeah. I would say almost, I would say 90% of the time, but if he plays in a 3-game series, they usually win the series. And people will talk about a catcher. I'm like, yes, I am. In 15 years, the Cardinals have had 1 losing season with Yadier Molina behind the plate. The year they had a losing season, they won 78 games, and he played 120 games. So if he played 10 more games, Terry, they're at 500 right there. So, and we talk about this all the time. And Tom, you know how the internet children are today with their stats and stuff. Well, no, they don't use stats. They make up stuff. I got home last night, was checking this Twitter for football and everything, and had a Cardinals fan Twitter feed had retweeted one of my tweets about Trout not being that good because of WAR, and I had like 50 retweets and all kinds of things I had to go through, and people called me a moron and stuff. And I'm like, and one of the ones they quoted, Terry, was the actual one about Yadier in 14 and 15 years, winning season, 2 World Series, 9 Gold Gloves, and you're telling me, according to WAR, Trout has 70-something WAR, Yadi's is 39. So in 9 years, according to WAR, Mike Trout has led the Angels to twice as many victories as Yadier has in 15 years, even though Trout, here's what he's never done, Terry. He's never won a playoff game in 9 years. Not series.
Yeah, a
game. He's never hit 40 doubles in a season. He's never had a 40 home run, 100 RBI season. Now this year he's on pace. He might do it for his first time in his career after 9 years. But this WAR stuff, I'll take a better catcher. Think about this. Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., Ted Williams, and if we want to include Mike Trout, those 4 outfielders, Terry, have combined to win 0 World Series. You know how many of the Molina brothers have? 5. The 3 catching Molina brothers have 5 World Series.
I'll tell you what, Molina, just looking at his resume, 9 Gold Gloves, Kevin, including one last year.
Hey, Tom, he's the all-time leader in caught steals percentage, too.
Yeah, I was just saying it does have that. I was just reading that. He is second all-time with 130 defensive runs scored. And I think he throws out 42% of runners.
Yeah, whatever that is, it's the best ever.
I was getting to say anything over 40% for a catcher is good.
Yeah,
because it's really not on him most of the time. It's on the pitcher.
Yeah,
he's got 9 All-Stars, but I don't give that too much because
he didn't make it this year.
Cal Ripken was still making All-Star games when he was past his prime. But
he was getting voted in the starting lineup. That's the difference.
Right. Yeah,
between that and then actually just being appointed by a coach.
And despite the injury, still almost 2,000 hits in his career. So, 281
Well, catchers only play 120 games a year, too. He don't play 160.
Yeah.
So they managed. He's led this team to 2 championships in division after division after division. And Terry, and you guys, the whole thing about him sitting there with the pitchers every day, that's the most valuable thing.
Yeah.
And I made a joke with one of the guys. They were talking about positions, how center field is a valuable position. So I got a little fun with this one. I said, okay, if a center fielder doesn't play today, or if a center fielder has his worst day ever, how many balls does he drop? 3 to 5? If a first baseman doesn't catch every ball thrown to him, the game never ends.
Yeah.
If a catcher isn't there, the umpire gets hit in the chest every pitch. So jokingly, I said, which is more valuable? And the guy was like, oh, that's just stupid. And I came back at him with this one. I said, okay, high school or rec ball or whatever, if a team only has 8 players, which position on the field do they play without?
They only have 8 players.
Terry, which position is not on the field when they only have 8 players? The center fielder.
What they usually do is they move. Yeah, move.
I'm being technical, Tom. I'm just saying, if it's that important, why don't they take the catcher or the second baseman or the first baseman out when you play 8 players? Because you take the dodo out there in center. You don't take him out. You move him to left center. I know that's what you do. Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's not that important. I would rather have a catcher.
I'm just saying, I'm twisting the facts slightly to bolster my argument.
Are you shifting on me, Terry?
No, unless you're playing T-ball or coach's pitch, then they take the catcher out of the game and they put all their people in the outfield.
Yeah. You don't need Yadier in a coach pitch game. I agree with you.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean,
All right, Tom, would you rather have a guy that can play left field, right field, third base, shortstop, and first base, or a guy who can just play outfield?
The latter. I mean, the former, I would say. The guy that can play multiple positions, definitely.
Should a first baseman, if the center fielder is considered a better hitter than the first baseman, who should have more doubles? The fast center fielder?
Your center fielder is going to have more doubles.
Right, but it's not the case with him and Pujols. Pujols has out-doubled him his whole career. Trout has.
But Pujols is just a freak.
I know that, but that's my point, is that it's not that you can win championships without center fielders and great outfielders is what I'm trying to get to in all of this. But if you got a really good first baseman and a really good catcher,
you have provided plenty of evidence for that thesis.
I think teams just I don't know. Even the Yankees, when they were winning World Series, Posada's backer hit 320 or something.
I mean, you can argue all that stuff, but it comes down to pitching. Whoever has the best pitching is
when you get to the playoffs.
When you get to the playoffs.
And sometimes you got to match up and let that one guy win, don't you, Terry?
Yeah. I mean, that's just like this year when it comes to Kansas City. Don't get me wrong. I knew he's not going to be good. We're dead. Almost last. Detroit's last.
That's incredible.
But yeah, as bad as we are.
Think about how bad.
Really bad.
Detroit is the worst team in baseball right now.
All right, Terry. Yeah. I'm gonna get an unbiased opinion, maybe. How many wins would the Indians have if they weren't beating y'all in Detroit every day?
Would they
be as good as the Cardinals?
I will admit that they're probably not a playoff team if they.
I don't know. I haven't watched. That's a completely honest question.
Because when they play, they've done okay against the better teams. Like Boston, I think, is the best not so great team ever.
Yes.
I mean, with their lineup. I mean, they just. When I was listening to them on the radio the other night, I mean, Boston it seems like 1 through 9, they can all hit, Terry. I mean, they just can all
There's 17 games out of first.
Yeah, and it just surprised me they're so far back. Now, they did lose some pitching in the offseason, but, I don't want to play them. I didn't want to play them because I know they're still, and they're wounded, and they're going to pull out all the stops.
Tom, y'all got a 91.3% chance of making the postseason. Kansas City sitting at 0.1, Terry.
See, I have a hard time with that figure right there. We have 0% chance of winning. If
0.
we would
1.
win the rest of our games, we'd have a shot.
I don't agree with that. That American League wild card. I mean, it's unless Oakland has kind of fallen off the map, and they really haven't.
They have fallen off lately.
Well, it's only got 6 teams above.
They're 6-4 in their last 10.
It's only got 6 teams above 10% with a chance to make the playoffs in the American League.
Because there's 5 teams, 4 or 5.
5 make it.
5 make it.
Right.
I mean, it's in that one
League,
game. I hate
10%
that.
is 4, 7, 8 teams.
I do hate the one game thing. I will admit
it's stupid.
Yeah.
I hate it.
That is the dumbest thing.
I don't like it.
But speaking of Boston, the one thing I like about Boston, they are 6 games above 500, and they're 17 games back. So
I wouldn't count them
shows how the Yankees are doing.
It wouldn't surprise me. They can reel off 10 wins in a row.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they'd win the next 10, they'd be right in it.
Isn't it funny, the same baseball fans that tell you that throw the metrics and the stats at you all the time, but then you say, Well, explain to me how it takes 162 games to see who's best. But if they tie after playing each other 20 times, we're just gonna play one.
Yeah.
That's going to decide.
In baseball, and really baseball they're such purists. They don't really want to change the rules.
Why is it at 162 games? What's hard with just a tiebreaker? Yeah. Football plays 16 and we have tiebreakers. Basketball has tiebreakers. Why does baseball not have tiebreakers?
Yeah, in baseball, they're I was just reading an article today about how they're struggling with their attendance, and they're trying to get attendance up. Maybe if they didn't play as many, then the games become bigger. And that's kind of in the NFL. Every game is huge. So I don't know if that would be a good idea or not. Should you shorten the season to increase the value of each game? Mm-hmm. And maybe that that helps your attendance. Also, I read an interesting article about I think the Chicago White Sox are the first team to put up nets to protect all the fans.
Yes, yeah.
And they're talking about people who have been hit, and a 79-year-old lady in Los Angeles was killed last year. Yeah. They're worried. The reason why they don't do that, they're worried that netting being up there obscures the view, and it will decrease attendance. That's what they're worried. That's why they won't do it. So I mean, Major League Baseball does have their attendance issues, and they're trying to speed the game up and some other things to try, but. I don't know what they would do. Kevin makes a good argument. 162 games, we know who the best teams are. Should you put more teams in the playoffs? Because they're looking at their attendance dropping. Once your team is say you're 15 games out, then people lose interest.
I'd rather them do like the NFL with the 6 teams and back up to 140-something games.
Yeah, it's to make it more to give more teams
and
a chance.
Give the actual series and not the one game.
Yeah,
things.
or if you let's say you expanded it to 8 teams each. Then maybe those first couple series can be 3-game series or something. But I guarantee the good teams wouldn't like that, because you don't want to get in a 3-game series with a team that's not as good, because anything can happen. I mean, it's real, winner take all is the worst.
You are getting to a point, attendance-wise. I know they've got TV contracts, but they can move the money around on that. But you're getting to the point, attendance-wise, that you can make the case that you could cut games and then expand the playoffs to say, we're going to give you better baseball instead of meaningless baseball.
They do. It's an issue, and they're trying to figure some things out, to try to get it up. But
you mentioned something a minute ago about them widening the nets where it keeps people now from coming, because half the people that go to those games sit in certain places so they can get a foul ball if it comes through.
Right.
I mean, kids bring gloves, grown-ups bring gloves. I mean,
but it said the point it made is the players are worried about it, Terry. The players don't want it on their. There was a story, I can't remember the name of the guy, but he lined one off. He had a 4-year-old girl. Now, didn't kill her, but sent her to the hospital. I mean,
I'm going to say this to that. I'm going to say this
do.
to that. Don't bring your 4-year-old girl to foul ball territory.
When
you go to the ballpark, Tom, a high school game, do you sit your kid behind the fence, or do you go stand there but right where they could foul one off in her face?
Well, usually I'm out there with about $500 worth of equipment on.
And you have a mask on. You're out there with a mask as an umpire. But if you sit in foul ball territory, A, be prepared, head on a swivel, watch the game, quit looking at your phone, and B, wow, you got a child. I know you're supposed to take the children, but if you want to take the kids, you can sit in the middle deck, the upper deck, in the outfield. You can sit anywhere in the stadium other than right behind the dugout.
Yeah, but the ball's going 100 miles an hour, Kevin.
I know, that's what I'm saying. At the dugout. I think the net
100.
The net should be at the dugout up, but past the dugouts, I mean, you're paying a lot of money.
Yeah,
you want your kid to experience the in-game experience.
Right.
That's what you want.
Right.
And that's in open area.
Without getting hit in the face with a baseball.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I will tell you, I'll show you. I mean, my toe is still 6 weeks later, it's still awful. Where I got nailed in the toe, and it's like, man, what if that ball hit me in the head? I mean, it's just one of those things, and you got a Major League Baseball player, 100 miles an hour hit you in the head.
I wish I had her. Time you got that Nerf gun racked up yet there?
I will. Dang it!
Hey, don't worry about it. No, leave him there. Leave him there. We're gonna move on real quick because we got to finish up the show with high school football. So while our engineer's incapacitated, we will scoot over to football.
He's got a film on him.
NFL's coming in a couple weeks, guys. We're ready for some football. Last night, the Panthers played. Terry.
Yeah, well, I was looking at the Giants. Quarterbacks are 21 out of 24 combined.
Ain't bad.
No, that's not bad at all. As a matter of fact, Eli Manning hasn't missed a pass yet.
Has he not? Well, I'm gonna say
I
something.
was talking about him last night. He just gets no respect, Kevin. I just don't understand.
No, he does not, and I'm not even an Eli fan. I will say that I'm not an Eli fan, but this is what I'm gonna say about Eli. And they did this to Romo, Terry. You watched it.
I know.
As soon as they start losing, they blame the quarterback for any reason whatsoever. Now, I've got some stats here from Eli the last year alone, and we're gonna go down the list, Tom. All right, here's your guesses. One of these quarterbacks. This is how analysts see these quarterbacks. If you closed your eyes and listened on TV, this is what they would say about these quarterbacks. One guy can go to the Super Bowl. Another guy should retire. One of them isn't that good. This guy's a phenom, and this dude's a gunslinger. And they all have pretty much the exact same stats. They all have right at 4,000 yards, 21 to 24 touchdowns, 10, 11, 12, 13 interceptions, 66 to 70%. The exact same stats across the board. Those quarterbacks are Eli Manning, Cam Newton, Kirk Cousins. The gunslinger was... I just lost my note. Let's see. Could go to the Super Bowl was... the retire is Eli, of course. Isn't that good as Cousins. The phenom was Cam. And dang it, for some reason I can't remember the other two. But there's two others that did the exact same thing. And that's how they described it, was one could go to the Super Bowl and the other was a gunslinger. So, the one that goes to the Super Bowl... Crap, I don't... Don't worry, it doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is that if you'll close your eyes and listen to the TV, like with the Trout thing, they'll tell you that this guy's this great or this guy's that good or Eli's trash. The dude's won two Super Bowls. Who did he beat in those two Super Bowls?
Beat the Patriots, yeah.
He beat Tom Brady. He didn't beat Rex Grossman like Peyton Manning did. He didn't let the kick returner win MVP like Brett Favre did. Eli Manning went and won the Super Bowl twice against Tom Brady. And whether you say it's luck or not, you're right, Tom. He doesn't get. And then looking at those numbers, of all those numbers, he had the most yards of everybody.
Here's another thing. Do you see the guy in trouble? He's never in trouble. There's never any bad press. I mean, I don't really know much about his person, like wife and kids and things like that. I'm sure he's married and got some kids. I don't. But you never hear about him getting in trouble. You never hear him about doing stupid stuff. I mean, why? I think it's just the New York media market is just so tough on their athletes. If he played anywhere else, I mean, if he played in Cleveland, they'd name the stadium after him. You know what I mean? It's just one of those. I just don't get it. Could you imagine? Like Baker Mayfield shotgunning the beer at the Indians game, which I've been on some of the Browns boards, and like when I was a little critical of them, boy, they come after me. Shut your mouth. You're high and mighty. Da 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 da. They would defend. Could you imagine if Peyton Manning went to a Mets game and shotgunned a beer? Could you imagine what the media would do to him for doing that?
Well, Peyton Manning did settle a sexual assault suit when he was in college. You do know that one, don't you, Tom?
That's Peyton Manning.
Yes.
But not, not
you
Eli.
You were talking about Eli.
Yeah, I was talking about Eli Manning. But, I mean, you never heard. No, Eli's.
Did you see Aaron Rodgers? Well, that's how that come about with the shotgun. So Aaron Rodgers was at a game, and they put him on the TV, and he had a beer, and everybody started yelling chug or whatever. Yeah. When Aaron tried to chug it, he couldn't chug it. He like sipped like half of it up, and he put his finger like, everybody hold on, I'm trying. And he chugged it like, I would not even use the word chug. I shouldn't even use the word chug. So everybody's been making fun of him.
Yeah.
So that's what it turned into. It turned to Baker. They threw him a beer for that. He bit into it, and then shotgun it. He bit the can open. Tom,
I'll tell you this:
your quarterback,
that kid.
If this was 1960, he would be an American hero, wouldn't he? Terry?
That
quarterback bit open a beer.
One thing is, I would not party with Baker Mayfield because you'd probably be in the hospital. Yeah. But I mean, he's just. I mean. It really is unfair, boys. Some guys can get away. And there's one guy, I can't remember the name of him. He's a syndicated, basically talking head
who just hates Baker Mayfield.
Colin Coward.
Yeah, him. That's it. He hates Baker Mayfield with a passion. But he's the only one. I mean, you don't really hear.
He don't like the childish behavior. That's
Right.
what it is. He says he's good. He just don't like the behavior, and that's.
Baker's come on his show though. That was a fun interview when he was on his show. Yeah, he comes back at him.
Honestly, look, I was thinking about that today coming in. I was like, the Baker stuff is so funny that I woke up feeling dangerous. I can say that every day. I can send that to every. That is just so funny.
But
and
again,
he just goes right back at everybody.
You never hear Eli Manning say something like that though.
No.
Even though he's got the resume to back it up.
And what I would like about Baker is that this like coward and the stuff that's the kind of stuff that got thrown at Romo, and he would, if he would shoot back at him, it's kind of Trumpian that you just. If you're going to criticize me or come at me, I just shoot right back at you, and that's kind of I like that. I especially these guys like the Browns guys like it. And they were talking the other day. Chris Carter though, watch the defense. The defense is pretty good. That's going to be the key. They got rid of Duke Johnson.
That rookie linebacker they got from Alabama is really good, and they stole him in the 5th round.
Any defender you
picks.
get from Alabama,
he had 2 interceptions.
Decent.
I mean, he's the Greedy, the guy they got from I think LSU. He's pretty good too. So, they're young, and they're young guys make mistakes. They did blow a coverage, and that's how they got one of the easy touchdowns. It's just going to be interesting to see what they do on the defensive side.
So last night, Panthers were down at least 24-6, maybe 27-6 or 24-3 at some. I know there was 24-3 at some point. We were at the Cleveland County Jamboree. Broadcasting that. We'll talk about that.
It was Will Greer that started that game, Kevin.
I don't think did he start?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did.
So Greer went 10 of 19, had a pick. Heineke, 8 of 12, touchdown, and then Allen 4 of 11. Rushing for Carolina, Scarlett, 35, Artis Payne, 18, Holyfield. None of the starters played. No Cam, no McCaffrey, no Olsen, no. Who else did I miss in that group? Kuechly did not play. So pretty much nothing from Carolina.
And I don't blame him. I wouldn't have played Kuechly. Kuechly wouldn't probably play till week 1 if I'm the coach.
If I was the coach, he had never played a week 1.
No. Remember when Strahan was near retirement and they talked him out of it, and he basically said, "Okay, I'll be there week 1." I mean, once you get to a certain point in your career, I'm not putting my veterans.
Well,
out
he's
there.
got concussion
I'm not
problems.
doing it.
He can't come in there, and I wouldn't have.
Really.
You can't have him coming there and hitting people because of that. What if you get concussion in practice?
I'm not. I mean,
he's a middle linebacker. I don't.
And I know.
And I think every NFL team out of 53-man roster, has probably got 15 to 20 guys that they shouldn't even stick out there at all.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, when Strahan's in his 13th or 14th year, why is that guy in a preseason game?
Yeah,
he's not going. Olsen, he's not going out. No.
I mean, you're going to practice and you're doing all this. I think you're in shape. You're ready to go. Why should I put you out there in a game that means nothing for you to have a chance to get hurt?
Especially the modern game. I mean, back in the 60s, these guys would be like driving a cab in the offseason, and, of course, they're out of shape when they come in. These guys, it's 365.
Terry,
so there's no need for it.
I want to see what your opinion is on this one with the Panthers as far as this year, and we're talking Kuechly. This affects him. They're switching to a 3-4. That's completely different than what they've been playing. Now, what they've been playing, now they have led the league in the past few years in nickel defense. So even in run situations, they'll be out there in a nickel with it was Kuechly and Thomas Davis, so they'll get half the field. So they've kind of adjusted that with Thomas retiring and everything. So they're switching over to the 3-4. How that's Kuechly's going to be in the same spot pretty much he is in that nickel, but that's different responsibilities than the middle linebacker in a 3-4, right, Terry?
It's different responsibility because he's going to end up lining up a little different. It ain't going to be the same lineup he's always been used to of controlling the middle. He's going to be over to your left or your right more. Right. I mean, unless they shift every guy.
Right. So in the nickel, he's kind of in. They're kind of in the same spot.
Yeah, it's close, but it's not going to be the same.
So you're taking the two linebackers off and pulling the other guys in. My question is, is the angles are going to be different for him.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be some plays where he's not going to get to here maybe the first couple games. I think he could be fine adjusting. He's a great player. I'm just saying at first there may be an angle or two that he don't get to that he's maybe used to, and because you're just in a different spot. You got a different responsibility. I think he'll handle it fine It's just I'm worried about the rest of them and expecting maybe Luke to be here then or this. It's just when they switch. I remember when Dallas switched over, it just never worked. And they switched. But there was always like a 2-year period between switching the defenses with it working. I just wonder what you thought about going to a 3-4 with Kuechly and those guys.
See, my whole responsibility on that, I want to know who's around him. I mean, it's not the same veteran guys that you got coming. You don't have Davis now that I don't have to worry about his spot beside me. I think it's somebody new. I think Kuechly's, when you first start the season, it's like any veteran player. I'm worrying about who's beside me, what can he do, what he's going to cover that I'm not going to be able to. Where with Davis there, he never worried about that. Davis take care of his spot, you know. And I think that's what Kuechly did. Well, Carolina's defense, to me, has to be the thing. I mean, last night they scored, 14? They did not look too good. I mean, in what I was watching of the game, which was not much, but I did flip it over and watch a little bit of it. But their defense has to be the one to step up, and they did give up 27 points to a Buffalo team.
This is the key. This has been the key to the Panthers, and they stick to it more than any team almost in the last few years and 10 years that we've been pointing out. That the NFL average in throughout history is 24 points a game. The Panthers, you can almost mark down every game, write that line down, 23, 24 points. If they give up more than 23, 24, they lose. If they give up less, they're probably going to win. What is their offense? A running quarterback and swing passes. That's not going to score 40 points a game. They're looking to score 20-something points. So anytime your defense is giving up, their defense is giving up in the 20s, they're going to have a chance to lose.
Go back to when you was talking about the Russian attack. A lot of them people, when you start naming them, they're going to say, who's that? Who's that? Who's
For
that?
the Panthers?
Yeah. I mean, McCaffrey, he did not play, which I understand that. You keep in the
He can't
your
run the ball
veteran
every
guy.
time, can
That's
he?
what I'm
And
talking
he
about.
catch every
But
pass.
that's what I'm talking about. But, I mean, out of the running backs, he's the only real running back who was out, and he's not running the ball every time. It's swing passes to him.
Yep. Scarlett, 8 carries, 35. Artis Payne, 4 carries.
That's what I'm saying.
Holyfield, 3
Half the
carries.
people are going to say,
Bonifant, 3
who
carries.
is that?
Here's a concern for you: 5 holding penalties in the first half, Terry. So they may have some issues on the offensive line as well. So,
one guy retired, then went to another team.
Do what?
Ryan Khalil retired, then went to the Jets.
Did not know that.
Yeah, he just came back out of retirement. He quit the Panthers. And then, I'll play for the Jets.
I wonder
Like,
how that works. If you retire before your contract's
his
up.
contract was.
Yeah.
Oh, his contract.
They
was
weren't
up.
renewing
Okay,
it.
well that
and he
makes.
was like, well, I was going to retire.
Here's
He
what
still had his right to go.
Here's what bothers me. There's more of a write-up in the paper about the Giants over the Bears than there are the Bills-Panthers game. I guess when you don't do too well, you don't want to talk about it too much. But I guess there really wasn't much to talk about.
You don't. You might not even know where that came from as well. The way the papers work nowadays are owned by companies and stuff that aren't. The local paper isn't owned by a local company. A lot of the
I'm
time,
looking
so
for the box score of the Panthers game, and I can't find it.
I was told, Tom, by a paper man recently that the corporations only look at your online clicks, and they have figured out that you get the same number of clicks from a national reporter than you do as a local reporter, so they're cutting out the local reporters so they can just run. Like that Giants story, like you just said, is bigger than the Panther story. I bet there's some type of national thing pushing that. Why would you? Who cares about the Giants preseason game?
But now here you go. As a Carolina Panther fan, if you are, and you're around this area, that's just, taking stuff away from you. That's why you buy this paper. And then they wonder how come people are not buying that paper no more. If you're not doing that to keep the local interest in buying one of those things, that's how come it's going away.
These things are why they're not buying the paper
that's true.
anymore.
That's
I still like this. And Kevin, we've talked about the shopper. I think the baby boomer generation and some of my generation, we still like to have our paper, but more and more people. I can't stand reading the newspaper on this thing. I'd much rather have a paper, but I guess this is what I grew up with. But it's really this is a leaflet, man. This ain't a paper. This is a Saturday paper. this thing's a leaflet. So I don't know. It's just time
it's
of the
almost
times.
like this past week when Kevin was trying to get in touch with me. Well, my phone is not my life. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
I've often thought
to
about
tell people that, but I will put it down and not go back to it for a day.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, but when I
Terry,
flip it back
we've noticed.
That's what I'm saying. But I'll end up with a million things on my phone.
Terry, if I get thrown in jail, which I'm not going to say on air if I have or not before.
Not calling Terry.
But I'm not calling you Terry. Okay. So I mean, if I'm umpiring a game in Burlington or somewhere and I get thrown in jail, my last call, you got one call. It's not going to Terry Reinhardt because he might be taking a phone break. But really, you are right. Sometimes I'll take my phone and I'll stick it in the other room for an hour and I'll just watch. I'll just watch. You know, I'm kind of a geek. I watch PBS documentaries, some kind of history, or I'll watch a 30 for 30 or something.
I think people my age
of
of the last generation that are not used to just like I can do that still. I can set my phone. I can leave my phone at home for a day. I know I can text and call and check a lot of things, but I can leave my phone at home a day and come to work and it not really. I don't care that much.
I will tell you this.
And Andre he'll just like, I don't see how you're doing this right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's like me now. When I come here for Friday nights, I got to have it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the job that I've got. But during the week and all like that, especially if I'm umpiring or different things, my phone gets put to the side because it's being lit up anyway with all kind of stuff coming in.
It hurts you intellectually. I mean, I think that people used to sit around and read. That's what they used to read. I mean, if you need to read your whole life. On these things, I think you read a couple sentences and then you go.
How many times you go for Christmas breaks and when you're sitting at your either your grandparents' house or your house or your father's house or whatever, and everybody's on their phone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're talking to each other. JP decided to wake up and tell us it was time for a break.
Good job,
He gave us a break signal. Tom, he sat up and said break.
So let's go to a break. Yeah,
I love you, JP.
We only got about 15 more minutes, so we better get into high school football.
JP, we got to take a break. We come back, we're going to go over high school football. We'll be back in a minute on KTCBroadcasting.com.
Who are you? You're not a goat. Oh, you say you feel like a goat since you didn't buy your car from Renato Auto Mall in Shelby. And now you're putting up with a bunch of bull. Don't be like my friend here. You get no bull at Renato Honda and Renato Kia at Renato Auto Mall in Shelby. 4423 East Dixon Boulevard. Don't let another dealer get your goat.
It's time to play at the Green Meadows Golf Course on Kelly Road in Mount Holly. Play and ride Monday through Friday for $25. Weekends just $30. Seniors ride and play Monday through Friday for $20. And every Wednesday is Ladies' Day. Ladies play and ride for just $15. So make your tee time now by calling the Green Meadows Golf Course, 704-827-9264. Green Meadows Golf Course, 957 Kelly Road in Mount Holly.
Hey, cookouts begin with a Traeger grill, and Hometown Hardware in Kings Mountain, located on South Railroad Avenue, is your Traeger grill headquarters. Check out the Traeger rubs and accessories too, and see the line of Case knives, and the old Milwaukee blowers, and Husqvarna mowers, chainsaws, and trimmers and blowers. And cabbage plants are now in stock. Get yours today. So head on over to Hometown Hardware, located at 110 South Railroad Avenue in Kings Mountain.
Experience an eclectic mix of classic fine jewelry, designer originals, and custom creations at Facet Foundry Jewelry Studio, full-service boutique in Gastonia. Facet Foundry Jewelry Studio offers repairs and restoration, hand engraving, appraisals, gold and estate buying, and consignment. You get superior quality for all your jewelry, gemstone, and diamond needs. Facet Foundry Jewelry Studio, 530 South New Oak Road in Gastonia, online at facetfoundryjewelry.com. Carpenter Porter Funeral and Cremation Services in Cherryville is there for you in your time of need. They're a progressive and comprehensive funeral service provider, promoting the highest ethical and professional standards while maintaining cost-effective service. Funeral directors John Porter, Scott, and Hannah Garrett are there to help you and give you guidance during one of life's most difficult times. For more information, call 704-435-6711. Located at 1100 East Main Street in Cherryville and online at carpentersfuneralhome.net, a member of the National Funeral Directors Association.
Dr. Paul H. Cloninger takes his time to invite you to visit his office on East Church Street in Cherryville. You'll find a state-of-the-art facility with excellent dental care from their competent and caring staff, offering a wide array of preventive, cosmetic, and restorative procedures. And they strive to improve your dental health and a higher quality of life. From dental implants to a root canal to just having your teeth cleaned. Dr. Paul H. Cloninger Dentistry. That's at 1015 East Church Street in Cherryville. Visit the website at engineeringyoursmile.com.
And we're back with Saturday Morning Sports Talk. Sorry, I was somewhere else.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Y'all ain't even on. There you go.
So now we are. Now we're on.
Okay, now we're on. So yeah, thank you, Coach Pruitt.
Terry couldn't even hit the red button. His hand was so full of donut.
Well, let's talk a little. Let's talk a little high school football, Kevin.
Let's start with Cherryville on 1590 AM, folks. High school football Friday night starts this week. 5:30 pregame show. Terry, Hunter, Shannon. They'll be going over all the games of the week, giving you previews, predictions, and more. 5:30 to 7. Listen on all three stations and watch on YouTube. Watch us on YouTube. The preview show on Fridays at 5:30. Post-game show.
To find the one that Shannon will pick that will be 100 points the opposite way.
He missed a spread last. Was it 87 points?
It was
something like 87
yeah.
points. He missed the spread by last year on one of the games. So don't be standing at the betting place while listening to our show. Is that what you're saying, Terry?
Well, he does get some right. He did, but there was one that we.
I can't remember which game it was. It was 87 points. He picked the other team to win by like 40. That's the other way. All right, that was fun. The post-game show, of course, we'll have that Friday nights after the games. Once the last game on KTC is over, we'll switch over to the studios, and everybody in the studio will join us for the post-game show. We'll be giving you all the scores, highlights, and more. Give us a call. You can send in some highlights, email some highlights for us. We'll try to post those up. If we don't get them on the show, we'll definitely retweet them or post them on our Facebooks and Twitters. We'll get those out to show the kids' highlights if you guys want to send those in. Cherryville, week 1, they'll start with Christ the King. Talked to Coach Port a little bit earlier about that. Lincoln goes over to Stuart Kramer, and Terry, according to our informal poll, I've got our polls here. We got our last year's poll, how they finished, and we've got this year's voting poll that we did for dinner at the KTC Broadcasting Football Dinner. We did a voting poll.
I did not even know that was going on.
We got your votes in.
Did you get my votes in? Okay.
Remember last week?
Yeah, you did.
I counted
get
your
my
votes.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
You affected the team. You moved one team up because of your votes, apparently, I think.
There we go.
Every vote matters, Terry.
It does. Let me look real quick. You did you got Burns moved up ahead of Huss. Is that what your vote did, Terry? And North Lincoln ahead of Huss. Let's see, 7, 6, 5, 4 points, and North Lincoln tied with Huss. So Huss got the tiebreaker.
Now, after seeing
year.
Burns, I had him at 7th, but I would have moved him up. I was really impressed last night with not only Pryor, but you put Goodson in there. He ran the ball well. You had one more run.
C.J. Hopper
knocked
the guy's helmet off.
I know C.J. I've taught him. I mean, he's just a great kid. I mean, yes sir, no sir. The kid will do anything you ask him to do. He pulled in my driveway. I didn't recognize who it was, and it was we were washing the car. Anna and I drug my kid out and made her help wash the car. But here comes C.J. and says, "You gotta wash mine too, Coach." I was like, "What are you doing?" And he just said he's just driving around a little bit. He'd been out and about and was getting ready to head up to the school. And I asked him how his knee was, and he said it's been repaired. And I asked him where he had it done. He went up to Charlotte and got it done. And I said, "Well, how's it feel, man? How do you feel?" And he said, "I feel good. I really feel good." And when he left, I was like, I hope he means that, because when you get hit in the knee and you get your knee tore up and operated on, it's easy to say, just get back in there. But, you got to be thinking. You got your knee hurt. It takes a lot. And there's the rehab, and there's a lot to come back from that. I'm telling you, he ran the ball with some purpose last night. So he looked like the CJ of 2 years ago. So you got Pryor, you got Goodson, you've got C.J. Hopper. I mean,
the 2A teams
looks pretty. The running game looks pretty good.
Are going to be praying that Burns is not qualified for the playoffs.
They will.
I think
Burns will.
But they're going to be praying that you don't. I think you will.
No one wants to see us in the first. No one was going to want to see us in the first round.
Well,
what you said, I'll let you talk about it. But defense is the key.
What happens if Burns comes in third in that conference? And in the first round, you're going against a 2 seed from a 1 seed maybe from another conference.
I mean, if you finish third in the conference, you better go run a charter bus, because you're probably going to have to go about 100 miles to play.
Yeah, and those teams are not going to want to see the Bulldogs pull into town. That's
if
not what
healthy.
you want in the first round.
If they're healthy,
right?
If they're healthy, and Landon Hoyle, one of our offensive linemen, nicked up his ankle, so hopefully he's okay.
Have you heard anything exact on that? It was a weird spot that they had the ice, so it concerns me. It was on the top of the foot, top of the ankle.
He was complaining about his shoes, so hopefully it was an issue maybe with his shoes. Wasn't serious.
I had 2 sets of shoes in my life that, and I never really thought about it, never had any problems with them, but I had a set of basketball shoes that gave me turf toe one time. And then I did have a set of football shoes that tied too tight on top of the foot. And if you got, he probably has a wide foot too, as big as the kid is.
He's not small.
He probably needs to maybe even special order some wide cleats, because when you tighten them up like that, they put a lot of pressure on top. They were icing right at the top of his foot, right where his ankle meets the top of his foot. And like I said, I don't know exactly what that would be, unless he like a stub toe kind of stretched it out that way or something.
The concern is when I want to say they're in the mid-30s number of players.
Yeah,
you just can't have guys go down.
Yeah,
you just can't do it.
So last night at the Jamboree, first game, Shelby and Lincoln, and Shelby looked outstanding. First play of the game, 70-something. It was a 73-yard touchdown, I think.
But defensively, too. Lincoln was just smothered, Terry. I mean, they just seemed like every play Shelby was in the backfield. I don't know how many tackles for loss they had, but Lincoln was just, they're rebuilding, and they've got a new coach this year, and, it's going to give him a chance if you're over there. If you're a Lincoln fan, give him a chance, but they just didn't look like they had a tremendous amount of talent, Terry.
If I'm most teams and I'm going against Shelby, play one from scrimmage. I've got 6 people back.
Yeah.
Because how many times have we seen Shelby in these last 4 or 5 years score off a play one and is deep?
Yeah, and I did make the point, to the announcers in the first play, to Jeff and Brent, that Newton Conover is probably not going to face a 5-wide receiver in their conference.
No.
That conference likes to run the ball a lot. East Lincoln will throw it around a little bit. I don't know if they still do. I think they plan to a little bit. But nothing like that. So any school that sees that, it's like playing 7-on-7. Oh, and then their line's bigger than you, too. So their line, I was impressed by their size, and they protected well. Even Coach Jones says the line is protected well. They must have protected well because he's a line coach.
Yeah.
So he'll give you the honesty on that one.
It's hard to find 6-7 defensive backs on your team. When they're running 5 wide receivers. Have you got?
Crest is the only team that I ever see that's got enough DBs. They can just keep running out there, running.
DB
DBs
is the hardest position. It doesn't get the difficulty. The difficulty of that position is not talked about enough.
No, and I honestly think, and people might laugh at me, that it's probably me and a couple other guys have talked about before. We think that's the best athlete in sports.
Has to be
the cornerback. You have to tackle. You have to run backwards as fast as the best athletes run forward. Almost. You have to know where they're they know where they're going. You don't know where you're going. And then if you slip, if you make one mental mistake, it's 6.
Yeah, you're toasting.
If a defensive tackle slips and falls down, we might not know.
Yeah.
He might have got blocked. But if a corner falls down, Minnesota goes to the NC Championship game instead of the Saints, or you know what I mean. The Saints the last 2 years have had some issues with that. Killing my Super Bowl picks, Terry. I had that nailed. The NFL's ripped it from my snatched victory. Hard to defeat. Yeah, so looking at our stand, let's go over our. So then Shelby won 34-7. Then Kings Mountain was 27-7. Is that what you said, Tom?
Yeah, Kings Mountain won 27-7, I believe, and they looked very dominant.
They are the most well-rounded football team.
Raquel Mack didn't even play, Kevin.
Raquel Mack didn't play. The running backs looked great, Terry. Here's how they scored. A Cole Beasley out pattern to the slot receiver. They got Kobe Pacehour sitting over there. He just looked, not only he plays like a best receiver in the state, he just looks like a wide receiver. You walk out here, you're like, God, just throw it to that kid. Like, whatever the play call, turn and throw it to him. Their new quarterback's about 6'3", 6'4". He can spin it. I'm telling you, he can spin it. His thing is, I'll say this, their biggest thing will be protecting him, because remember last year, Kalen Wade was about maybe one of the fastest quarterbacks around. He could evade a little bit extra pressure. This kid's an athlete. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. He's not Kalen Wade quick, but he's going to be hard to bring down like Ben Roethlisberger style. Like, he's a big kid. He can sling it. He looks, if you drew up a quarterback in a factory, that's what this kid looks like.
And defensively too. I mean, they just
their D line looked good. I think the biggest key for Kings Mountain, 2 things would be protecting the quarterback so they don't turn it over, and their defense. With their offense scoring 30 points a game, you always wonder, and it's happened before in the past, Kings Mountain, if they don't give up 30 or 20, they'll be okay. But are they going to give up that 30 or 20?
I don't.
The question I always worry about Kings Mountain is injuries.
Yeah,
It
that happens
kills
every
them
year. don't
every
it?
year. Yeah.
I hate to laugh at it, but I mean it does. And it's not like the backup defensive tackle gets hurt. It's the quarterback.
Yeah,
the
it's a major
the
part
running
of
back.
whatever offense they're running. It's either
I was
running
told
back, quarterback,
that Mac's
or wide
injury
receiver.
last year. You remember in the playoffs, he looked like he got sniped and just stopped and fell down backwards. It was an ACL.
Yeah.
So that's what I was told. So, he's I've been told he feels good. He's recovering. They were setting him out last night. Coming from from what I gather, he may not play next week.
The backup looked good though. I'm telling you, they get kids ahead of
y'all
me.
may not have to deal with Mac. You may. He wants to play. We'll see what happens. But he may not play next week.
He's just
to give you a
so
heads up.
the way Mac's
It's hard
built
to
too.
tackle him.
He's just so hard to tackle, and he's so strong too. I mean, when he hits you, it's just, gosh, you got to get tired of that. By the third quarter, you're like, somebody else do it.
Keelan Pryor and Kalen Mack couldn't be many more completely different from each other.
Keelan, you
Running
can't. Number one,
size.
you can't find him, and when you do find him, he's usually running past you.
I went down there last night, and while Keelan was standing on the sideline, I went over and stood beside him. And had Will take a picture of me. So I'm taller than Keelan. Honest to goodness, without if you cut his hair off, his hair was cut. His top of his head, Terry, would come right about my nose, and I'm not tall.
He's about 5'5". He's about 5'5". But I'm telling you, he's just amazing when he gets through that hole, Terry. I mean, he just boom.
I happen
hits
to be
that hole. It doesn't need much. He doesn't need much.
Right before I went down last night, I said, I'm going down here. I just want to see Keelan run by me one time and see, how fast it is in person or whatever. And me and Will were standing about the 20, and he cut across and he started running towards us. And Will's like, he's gone. I was like, I don't think so. And Terry, he was running like almost towards the sideline, and they had 3 defenders all closing in on him. And he just took a right and went right between all of them. Not a single one of them touched him.
Yeah,
he was. It was just like a Barry. I looked like Barry Sanders almost when he planted and took that right. Because not only did he just get through, he didn't even have to shake anybody when he went. He just planted and went straight through. There was nothing. And I just looked at Will like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like, it is incredible that from zero to – that's the fact. People – a lot of times people have the same, like, top end speed, but the zero to top end speed, that's where you get missed. And Keelan Pryor's, that was outstanding. I'm going to have dreams about how fast that was.
I also was impressed with the quarterback for Crest. I think it was number 1. I mean, he's really fast.
He took off. And
he can really take off, too.
He looked like a sprinter, Tom. His legs, his strides, this is some of the longest strides
He's not
I've
real
seen.
big, though. He's not real big, but I'm telling you, I was impressed with him.
He got space. He started digging. I was talking to Will. He said they haven't decided. Nobody stepped up for Crest and shown that they should be the starting quarterback. Both of them are pretty decent, but neither one of them has claimed it yet.
Well, you don't want to do one of these silly quarterback rotations. You better decide on somebody, because I've seen teams try to do it. I don't like it if they try to do it. I just don't think it's going to go very well. But I was, Crest, their team speed. I was impressed. They're not as big as they usually are. They're not as big, And a couple guys were talking about them, but I just didn't think they were like the Crest of old. But
one of their middle linebackers is about $150, maybe 60. Like, he's not big at all.
Yeah,
and that's a middle linebacker at Crest.
If you block them up front, I think you can run on them because their linebackers aren't real big. Looked like they were out there.
One kid's pretty big, but that other 23, he's a senior. I can't remember his name. I took pictures of him the other day. He's small.
Yeah, and they were doing a 4-2. They were doing a 4-2, so they may change it up a little bit against a team like Burns is going to run on them a lot. But they
Burns
just don't look
defensively last night. I think the DBs need to communicate a little bit better. That's kind of not my specialty, but I watched that a little bit more is what they're doing.
Now Wells, Wells is back playing
JQ,
cornerback.
right?
JQ. I mean, he's so long.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like 6'2" or 3", but he's just long too.
I remember him in basketball.
Yeah, and so he can be effective in coverage. And Setzer's back there. He gives you a good safety back there. So against the Kings Mountain's got a pace hour and all that.
I think one of the things that I just think, and coaches will make adjustment on it, is that the safeties were getting a little too close to the line when they went 4 and 5 wide.
I think
not just when 2 wide or something like that they're okay, but when they went 4 and 5 wide, one of those guys going deep. That's the fact. One of you's going deep, so you got to be at least 10 yards off the ball.
They
And a lot
burn
of times he was
yeah.
creeping up in. And I don't know if that's design or something else. I just didn't. And then they went deep. I kind of mentioned it a few plays before. I'm like, they're going to have to make an adjustment. That deep ball's getting open. And then they found him, and they got burnt for one of those deep balls.
84-yard touchdown.
Yeah, 84-yard touchdown. But they did. But if the safety would have been back, I think just not just to pick it off, just to be over there. The quarterback might not even throw that ball if he's back there. I just a few adjustments defense. I just thought Cleveland County looked good last night. Crest needs to. I was told before the game by a Crest insider that they were young, that this AC Reynolds team was pretty good, and that there might be a long year for Crest. But they jumped on them early.
No, Crest.
And Ace kept coming back.
Crest will be fine. The problem with Crest is if you don't go 11-0, it's a bad season. And
I did hear somebody go, it's probably going to be a tough season. We'll probably only win like 8 games.
You're lucky. You're spoiled. You know,
8-3. Sorry.
They really are.
Well,
they really
it's
are
the
spoiled.
same thing theirs is in Maiden. Maiden had a bad year last year, and they almost gave up football. You know, I mean they won 8 games.
They
but
almost gave up football. All right, folks. Let's go down our top 10s and our polls and explain that a little bit before we get out of here today, and then we'll give you the schedule. Today we got 1, 4, and 7 on American Legion World Series baseball. 1 and 4 is Jeff Jones and Brent Pasco. 1 o'clock's Brent and Jeff. 4 o'clock is Derek Smith and Danny Aker, and then 7 o'clock I think is Tim and Ken tonight. If I'm right. Oh, it's right here in front of me. I guess I could just look at this one. Saturday, right? Ken and Tim Johnson tonight for Louisiana and Albuquerque. Tomorrow, Tom and Terry have the doubleheader to open up the day, 1 to 4. And then Rob Roop and Dennis Davis will have the nightcap to end pool play and set up Monday's doubleheaders for the Baker and Aker Final Four doubleheader, and then the championship on Tuesday. As long as I get the paper done, I'm going to do the championship game for the first time, along with Jason Sane. He was actually excited about that last night. He was excited more about that. He loves baseball, so anything baseball with Jason, he's in. So he's excited about doing that than he was the jamboree last night. But talk about how hot it was, Terry. You know, Jason's little bald on top of his head. He came down there before he's doing the Kings Mountain games. He came down there in the Chevy game on the sideline and stood with him for a second. He squeegeed the top of his head with his hands. Like he was throwing, like if you could pour water on your head, that's about as fast as the sweat was coming off. It was just like an oven out there last night.
Trent Marty looked like he was running around. He looked like he'd been in the sauna.
I told him, asked him if he had a camouflage shirt on because it was dotted in sweat everywhere.
He was working though.
Yes, he was. So we took a voting poll. This is our voting poll because some people don't like our formulas that me and Terry like, that are earn your right formula that always works out in the end, doesn't it?
It
Terry?
does.
But we voted this year a preseason poll top 10 from KTC. Week 1, we got a week 1 matchup at 9 and 10, Terry. We got Lincoln and Wolves was voted the 10th best team in our area. 9th, Stuart Kramer Storm. That'll be next Friday night in Kramer. How do you see that setting up? Now, I know we got 5 days for you to do some research and stuff, but we got a few days, and that'll be on WLON with Tim and Ken.
Well, it's something that a lot of people that have seen them in practice talk. Speaking of Lincoln, thinking they're very aggressive, and it's not like 1 or 2 guys after ball. It's a whole flock, you know. So Lincoln is not very big, but they're very quick.
They are not.
You know,
I thought they had a bunch of good plays last night. Like I said, Shelby was their line was bigger than him. I mean, you just look out there, and Shelby walks out there to those 5 linemen bigger than him, and then Lincoln puts 3 down linemen in front of them, and they're all smaller than. There's not one of them bigger than. There's no tank or anything in the middle. I was just like, this ain't gonna be good.
Well, Glass, when he brings you out, you're going to be disciplined to play on his team. Mistakes, you know, it cost you back in the weight room and stuff. So, you know, Stuart Kramer lost a lot of seniors last year. This might be the best they've equaled to him because Stuart Kramer has pretty much handled Lincoln in the last 2 years.
Yes, they have. E.J. Mancheris, quarterback for Lincoln, also a baseball pitcher. Threw it around a little bit last night for a small critique for myself. I just think E.J. needs to take a little bit more time, kind of rushes those a little bit last night. I know you're playing Shelby. You think you maybe got to because he threw a couple balls that didn't spin right, you know, little ducks or whatever, a little wobbled on him. But I think if EJ was doing what he was supposed to, I think he did a good job overall. But it's Shelby one thing, and I just think if he would just slow down, concentrate on his follow through, he'll be fine, and they'll be pretty good. I think they can win some, get back to Lincoln and Ways, but that Shelby team, it's tough to match up with that. All right, so that's our 10 and 9 teams. Number 8 in our poll, our voted poll, is Ashbrook Green Wave. They open with Green Hope. You know anything about Green Hope?
I have no idea.
So it'll be Ashbrook Green Wave against Green Hope, whatever they are. I would imagine there's going to be a lot of green.
It's probably a homeschool team or something.
Number 17 voted on by KTC Broadcasting is the North Lincoln Knights. They'll be opening up with the Parkwood Rebels. I imagine they'll smoke them, right?
North Lincoln's going to be better than what a lot of people think. I think they got better as the year went on. Beard's back at quarterback. You got Saru still in the backfield. I mean, they did lose Cribb, but as far as everybody else, a lot of the offensive linemen are back. So offensive-wise, very stout, and Basil's teams are always good on D.
Number 6 in our power poll, voted on in the preseason power poll, Hunter Huskies. A lot of people not feeling they're not as good as last year. They say. We'll see. Last year they had one of the best defenses we've seen around in a long time, didn't they, Terry? They finished last year 3rd in the What's Up Shopper power poll. We voted on them 6. Voted on the number 5 team. This was the. This is where Burns moved up into. Burns ended up in the 5 spot, Terry, in our votes after you cast your vote. The Bulldogs are in the 5 spot. Tom said he had him in the 7. I think I might have had him in a 4 because I put him like I was joking with Tom in the game last night. I was like, listen, you guys beat Shelby last year with your quarterback and your wide receiver. Shelby took their quarterback, took their wide receiver, and Burns beat them. Shelby won the state 2A title. Shouldn't Burns feel pretty good about competing in the 2A with all that said?
Oh, I've always said if you go from 3A to 2A and you fall down, you're going to be good. If you jump up, different story. But for Burns falling down, like I said, I would have put them in my top 7 in the state of North Carolina.
They're at number 5 in our preseason power poll. Number 4, South Point. Now Burns next week. Tom, you guys, we're going to finish up the show with explaining exactly where y'all are going to be next Friday night. Number 4 ended up being South Point, the Red Raiders. They're in the 2A actually right now. Yeah. They've got some 3A numbers. We'll see if they get put back here shortly. What's the word on the street about the Red Raiders? They finished 8th in our power poll last year. We've got them 4 right now in the preseason.
At South Point, they got to do the same thing. You just have to stop it.
Right.
I mean, the only way to stop it is to see it a few times.
Coach Pruitt talking about the cut blocking earlier, Tom. Those defensive linemen hate having to play South Point. They don't like getting their ankles hit, do they?
A lot of people don't like playing them.
It's dangerous. Number 3 in our preseason poll is the Crest Chargers, and we talked about them quite a little bit. They will open up next week with that South Point team, so we'll have 3 versus 4 next Friday night with South Point and Crest and the battle of the rushing games, I would imagine. We're not going to see them. This isn't going to be a Big 12 game, is it, Tom? All right, number 2, Shelby Golden Lions.
Last year's state title and you're number 2.
Last year's state voted on by KTC. They only missed it, Terry, by 4 points. So Kings Mountain is our number 1 team, voted on in the preseason with 111 points, and Shelby had 107. So it's very close. Nobody else was close to those 2 in the points. Crest and South Point were close to 3 and 4. 5, 6, and 7 were all close. And then we have 6 or 7 teams between Ashbrook and the 13th place. We had Lincoln at 10, folks. There's 5 other teams with almost the same number of points as Lincoln in our vote. So they just happened to get 1 extra vote than the other teams on that. So they ended up there. Teams not on the list that you may be wondering where they are. North Gaston, Bessemer City, East Gaston, East Lincoln, West Lincoln, Terry.
Be careful there.
Forest View, Stuart Kramer. No, Kramer was on there. And Cherryville. We mean be careful, West.
Well,
West be on the top 10 on that one.
Well, a lot of people will take it, and I'm just mentioning West Lincoln's going to be better than what people think. And that's all I'm going to say. 2 good running backs. We lost 2 from last year, but be questionable. These 2 this year might be better.
I heard a quote. I'm not going to name the name or the player, who it was, Terry, but I did hear a player over in Vail yesterday. One said, we lost a lot up front, and the other guy said, so I'm good.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I just want to say that was one.
Feel the
so
spot.
I'm pretty good.
That's right. Feel the spot.
I laughed pretty hard at that kid. That was funny. Last year's power poll. This is how they finished, folks. And how the power poll works is, Terry, you get points for victories, right?
Yep.
So you bid a 1A team, you get 1 point, 2A 2, 3A 3, 4A 4, and if you lose the same number of points, and so on. Last year, the power poll points, number 1, Shelby Golden Lions winning the state title for the fourth time in a row, Terry? Fifth?
It could be. Yeah, I think so.
Shelby Golden Lions finished 1, Kings Mountain 2, Huss 3, Bandy's Trojans 4, North Lincoln 5, Thomas Jefferson 6, Crest 7, South Point 8, East Rutherford 9, East Lincoln 10. We didn't include Maiden and Bandy's in our voting dinner votes, but they will be included once we expand to the power poll and that. But the preseason thing is not official on us. It's just us sitting around eating some chicken and meatloaf and being silly for a little bit. So Friday night, once again, let's go through all the games and for you guys. Tom, why don't you take the Cleveland County games for next? No, let's end with the Cleveland County games. I'll do the Gaston, Terry can do Lincoln, and let's end with Cleveland. All right, Ashbrook hosts Green Wave next week. Hunter Huss starts the year off with a bye, Terry, and then they'll be hosting Rocky River in week 2. North Gaston opens at East Gaston next week, and then they'll host Polk County. Forest View opens up hosting Northwest Cabarrus, then they'll travel to Clover in week 2. Stuart Kramer hosts Lincoln in week 1, and then they'll travel to Catawba Ridge in week 2. East Gaston opens with North Gaston home, then they have a bye in week 2. South Point opens up at Crest and will be hosting Lincoln and Wolves. Bessemer City opens up at home against the Chase Trojans, and then they'll have a bye in week 2. Speaking of that, if you folks get a chance to get over to Bessemer City this year, get over there. They were installing the new scoreboard over there when I was over there the other day, Terry. That thing's going to be nice. It may be the nicest scoreboard around. Video replay scoreboard capability at Bessemer City High School. They ain't got that over at Crest. Yeah, where's Dennis at?
No.
They do got a video scoreboard over at Crest.
Dennis, give up some of that money.
Well, I did want to say that they were putting in an extremely nice scoreboard by Jeff Wilson, class of 2000. He's a year older than me. Named the scoreboard after his grandmother, actually. So I walked over yesterday, Tom, and they had the name up. I said, Coach! And Jeff was out there, too. Jeff was actually flying a drone of them putting up his scoreboard that he paid for. So I said, Jeff, Coach. And they come over. I said, y'all got one big problem up here. He's like, well, I said, y'all totally misspelled Kevin Hastings on that scoreboard. It is not Linda Wilson. That says Linda Wilson up there. Y'all misspelled Kevin Hastings so wrong. But Jeff and them, I had a good laugh at that too, Tom. But I want to thank Jeff out there. They was doing a good job out there. And he flew some drone. He might send me some drone footage of our punt, pass, and kick contest. I had some with the Bessemer players as well. Cherryville opens up with Christ the King. I've got my high-tech schedule not updated on that one. I do down the hall. Sorry about you guys. Tom, let's go to Lincoln County. Terry, where's everybody doing in Lincoln County in the first 2 weeks?
That's it. Next week it'll be Lincoln and going to Stuart Kramer. After that, they'll have South Point at home. East Lincoln will be open next week, and then they go to East Rowan on 8:30. North Lincoln is on the road next week as they go to Parkwood. And the only team open up at home this year will be the West Lincoln Rebels against Drone.
All right, and for Cleveland County, unusual situation where the field's not ready at Kings Mountain, so that game is moved to Gardner-Webb University, where Burns and Kings Mountain, I guess you would say Kings Mountain hosting Burns at Gardner-Webb. Shelby opens up the road at Freedom. Crest will be home for South Point. Now, South Point, Crest, YouTube, Burns, Kings Mountain, YouTube, Shelby, WOHS.
Yes.
Sorry, no video. Freedom's worried about, I guess somebody might be scouting him.
Shelby at Freedom. Tom, they don't put the touchdown scoring highlights on Huddle or anything, do they?
Oh, I mean, no. I mean, in this day and age, I don't know where you get film on.
They don't. You can't. How many fans come to a game to a game last night?
Whatever. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're going to the, I've been down this road.
If one of
I'm
them,
not doing this again.
If one of them pulled their phone up last night and filmed Freedom last night in a scrimmage, please send it to everyone at Shelby so they'll know how to beat you guys next week.
Shelby's going to beat them by 4 touchdowns.
It doesn't matter. So next week, Shelby's at Freedom, folks, in Shelby. You'll have to listen to the game only with Brent and Jeff. South Point and Crest, watch it on YouTube. Burns and Kings Mountain from Gardner-Webb University on the AstroTurf. I'll be out there live at Gardner-Webb it's going to be a fun night out there. I like the AstroTurf. I like the field. I'm excited, Tom, the most about the air-conditioned press box.
Oh, yes, I'm looking forward to that.
It'll be the nicest press box you'll be in the whole year. Yes. You'll love it. Trust me, next week, whether you would be at Burns or Kings Mountain, this press box at Gardner-Webb is going to be a lot cooler than whatever next week was going to bring you in those hot boxes.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys. Tune in. Friday Night Football, 5:30 pregame shows. Kickoffs are at 7:30. And, of course, the postgame show until midnight on KTC Broadcasting for JP and Tom Sinafani and Terry Reinhardt. Football season is on us, folks. It's the most exciting time of the year. I love the first few weeks as we get into this and get going in football. And just fun times ahead. KTC, we still got American Legion Baseball this weekend. 3 games today, 3 games tomorrow, 2 on Monday. And the American Legion World Series wraps up on Tuesday. Next week, What's Up Shopper, Terry? We'll have the schedules for all the teams. We'll have some photos of some of the seniors in their uniforms. We'll have our power polls and more. Pick it up. What's Up Shopper next Thursday, our high school football preview edition, folks. We'll see you guys next week. Saturday Morning Sports Talk by Mitchem's Kitchen on KTCBroadcasting.com.
Is it time for a new roof for your home or business? If so, call Creason Roofing of Cherry. Meet or beat any competitor's pricing on a new roof. That's one of